Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sports Cage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Access Communications, trusted in rural Saskatchewan for internet, TV, and home security. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Happy Thursday afternoon, Saskatchewan. It is the Sports Cage on this 11th day of June. Dave Thomas filling in for Barney Shankaruk again. Barney will be back in the saddle tomorrow. In the meantime, though, we're going to have some fun for the next little bit. We're going to talk sports. We're going to talk about tailgates. We're going to talk about food. We're going to talk about tire fires. And maybe even some way, somehow, we're actually going to discuss what's happening with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Yeah, a lot going on. Who would have thunk it? We're just a couple of sleeps away from the Riders kicking off the regular season against the BC Lions on Saturday at Mosaic Stadium. I was asked as I was running out of the building today with the rain coming down, are there still those watermelon packs? Yes, there are. And they actually don't have anything to do with food. That's where you get the ticket for the home opener and Labor Day at the same time. Riderville.com, the way to line that up. We'll have more on that coming up in just a little bit. But tell you about what's coming up on the show. We are going to hear from the top second down receiver in the Canadian Football League from a year ago. He will join us before 6 o'clock tonight. We are heading down to Raleigh, North Carolina, where Eric Francis had a little run-in with the head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights. Yep, he asked Torts about his top line. And John Tortorella did a John Tortorella kind of thing. We'll discuss that with Eric when he comes up a little bit later on. Also, you want to know about tailgating on Sunday? Or Saturday, pardon me. See, it's funny because there's a video with Gene Mikowski out getting ready for the tailgate right now at Mosaic Stadium. He's already there, so I was just extending it a day, apparently, in my mind. But tailgating on Saturday, we're going to talk about the festivities and everything you need to know about the Saskatchewan Roughriders this season. That is coming up as President and CEO Craig Reynolds will be joining us. If you got a question for any of our guests, of course, you can join us on the Prairie Land Rentals text line. But should mention, we are going to get to Glen Suitor. He is preparing for Week 2 in the CFL, which kicks off tonight. Winnipeg, in front of a sold-out crowd, will be taking on the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Well, it's kind of a pick'em game, as Winnipeg, I don't think, looked terrific in their win in Calgary, while Hamilton maybe deserved a better fate against Montreal at home last week. We'll break down that game with Suits and more. Plus, going to hear from one of the newest Saskatchewan Roughriders who had to take a tour of Mosaic Stadium to find the locker room. Never been there, just until this week. We'll share that coming up for you. Plus, there is a lot to cover in the world of sports with what is going on today. And again, as mentioned, you can always join us with your questions, your comments, your thoughts. That's what this is all about. The Prairie Land Rentals text line is open at 306-936-6262. Prairie Land Rentals, from small power tools to skid steers, they probably have what you need. Deal with the owner. It's 600 Albert Street. Now, world of sports today. Mentioned it, Week 2 in the CFL is going to be kicking off, and we are going to be joining TSN's Brit Dort, who will join us in about 25 minutes or so from now to tell you where she is going to be this weekend as she puts on more air miles on her card, as she just got back from Switzerland as well. She's got the details on that, but we've got Hamilton tonight and Winnipeg. The Ticats, of course, dropped that 30-27 decision to Montreal last week, while Winnipeg rallied for that come-from-behind victory in Calgary that we discussed, where whether or not Vernon Adams Jr. should have perhaps taken a knee as opposed to scoring with just over a minute to go. Again, I don't think you ever want to take that risk, but he did, and it came back to bite him in the butt as the Bombers rallied for that 30-28 victory. Tonight also, and I'd love to know your thoughts, Rider Nation. Of course, we don't often give kudos to Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Why would we? But tonight, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are going to be honoring the career of quarterback Chris Streveler. Tommy Stevens light, if you will. Okay, maybe, I don't know if that's a proper reference or not, but Streveler, of course, spent his entire CFL career with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, did go down south, got some quarterback reps in the NFL in the middle of it all. He was almost a guarantee on short yardage situations. He wore that fur coat in Winnipeg when he was topless, when they won the Grey Cup. Where does he rank? I can tell you right now what Rider fans do. They're banging the dashboard in the tractor, or they're sitting at home saying, what are you talking about? Like, really? Chris Streveler?
Yeah, I feel like you can't deny he has a certain swagger to him.
No.
The fur coat.
No.
It was a good look with the cigar hanging out and the wide open with the Grey Cup.
Mm-hmm. Iconic photo.
Oh, yeah.
But
oh, yeah.
I don't know. And again, you don't know what you don't have until it's gone. And right now, I think the Winnipeg Blue Bombers may learn that a little bit this year, because Streveler was pretty automatic. You have to give him his credit.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like in Rider Nation, we learned pretty quick how important it is to have someone that's like a third down specialist like Tommy Stevens. It opens up kind of like continuing the drive more often than not, where in situations where you're like, it's probably better if we kick it, get better field position or whatever. And it's like, no, just give the ball to Tommy. We'll get a first down. No problem.
Instead of needing 10 yards for a first down with Tommy Stevens on your sideline, you essentially probably only need 8.5.
Yeah, exactly.
Changes the entire dynamic. Well, tonight the Bombers are going to celebrate that career of Chris Streveler. Are you going to, if you were to go ahead and submit how much time you're going to watch when it comes to the World Cup. World Cup of Soccer kicked off today. Mexico, last look, was leading South America 2-0. How much of the World Cup will you actually watch?
Me personally?
Yeah.
Probably nothing.
Zero.
I only just got a TV the other day. I'm definitely not taking the time to watch the World Cup. It's not really my thing. I know it's a very popular sport around the world. It's easily the most popular sport in the world, but it doesn't do much for me personally. But I encourage a lot of people to go and check it out if you kind of surround yourself with the Canadiana and see how Team Canada can do. So
I'm curious. I'll definitely watch a game from Toronto, a game from Vancouver for sure. They'll likely be Canadian games, as most of us, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm really, really curious, if Canada wins a game, right? They've never done that at a World Cup, and say they win their first game tomorrow against Bosnia-Herzegovina tomorrow. Say that they win that game. Is momentum just all of a sudden going to sweep and take off in this country?
Probably. Like, you kind of saw something similar with, like, the Blue Jays, too. Like, as soon as they're kind of going on a deep playoff run, you just start to notice that a lot of people that are not Blue Jay fans kind of come out of the woodwork and start supporting Canada's team. So I would say, yeah, if they get a little bit of momentum going, you're going to see a lot more people supporting the team.
I agree. I just, like I said, I'm curious if it's going to be the same type of momentum. Is it going to be even more, right? Because you go by the affinity plex over the Real District. Like, I have learned quickly how many soccer players there are in this community.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in the country as a whole, across the province, right? Just keep going on and on and on. But I'm just saying that I'm going to be very curious to see if that kind of fever, you know how, like, if you've ever been to an NHL city when their team is doing well in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember, like, a couple of years ago, when the Flames were going on a bit of a run in Calgary, and like seeing the Red Mile there, and just seeing how excited the city got. Yeah, exactly. I see where you're getting at.
Car flags, the whole gamut, right? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious if that's going to take off in Canada. We do have to wait a day, as I mentioned, and yes, the World Cup kicked off down in Mexico today, and it is still 2-0 in the second half. Mexico leading the Republic of South Africa. Hockey news today. I called it a tire fire, and I don't know where to go with this. Like, the Edmonton Oilers just can't seem to do anything right. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, so they want to hire a head coach. And then they leak. Again, the Oilers leaked it themselves that they were unable to talk with the guy from Vegas. Yeah, okay, we get that. We understand that. That's not going to happen. So, okay. So now, apparently, the players had an interview with the potential head coach and Mike Babcock, and now the NHL has been asked by the PA to do an investigation into Mike Babcock, where he may or may not be eligible to coach any further. The Edmonton Oilers have to wait. However, if the Edmonton Oilers say they're moving on, the NHL says, we're not going to waste our time. Don't worry about it. We'll just go ahead and we'll do our thing. I don't get it. I just don't get it. And then the perfect cherry on top of the whole debate with the Edmonton Oilers today. Not only are they talking about their head coach, but fans for years have been calling for Darnell Nurse to be dealt. And Darnell Nurse is on the trade block, but it isn't because of the Oilers. It's because Darnell Nurse wants out of Edmonton. Can you tell me? Explain this to me. And why are Oilers fans upset about this now? I don't get it. I'm sorry you've called for his head for years, and now you're saying that you're upset. And again, this is some of those great keyboard warriors, right? That is, oh boy, can't believe that Darnell Nurse, who is he to want out of Edmonton? Like I said, when I heard that he was on the trading block, I assumed it was the team and not the player. The team has alluded previously that they were interested in dealing him. But
the only thing I can think about since you started this whole conversation is what is the key difference between a tire fire and a dumpster fire? Or do you think they're on par with each other?
Tire fire is hot, smolders longer.
Ah, okay. So Edmonton's tire fire, not dumpster fire.
They're tire fire because this is going to smolder for a while. If they really wanted Mike Babcock, and again, if you go to sportscage.com, that is our poll question. Do you think the Oilers should hire Mike Babcock? Right now, about 57% of folks are saying no. So there's a majority of folks that don't think it should happen. But if they do hire Mike Babcock, right? So this whole thing is going to smolder a little bit about, should they have got Laviolette? Should they have waited for Bruce Cassidy? Again, the list goes on and on. The other part of this thing is that if they don't get Mike Babcock, then who wants to come? And who wants to be interviewed by the players? I get it. Connor McDavid is Connor McDavid. Leon Draisaitl is Leon Draisaitl. But should they be picking their own coach? That's going to smolder for a long time.
Man, there's definitely some kind of metaphor here that could be used. It's not coming to my head right now. The monkeys running the circus, or what is that?
Inmates running the asylum.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Monkeys running the circus isn't bad, though. That's a pretty good one.
You should keep that one. Make sure you put it in your notebook.
Back pocket that one, yeah, for sure.
That would be a good title for an article on sportscage.com. Just remember that.
There we go. But maybe I'm wrong, and that's maybe old school. I just don't know that the players picking their coach is the best way to go. But again, who am I? Sitting here in Regina, Saskatchewan, telling the Edmonton Oilers what to do. There's way smarter hockey people in this world. Throwing that out there. All right. We are going to talk some Riders. They closed the practice today, so the team, of course, goes behind closed doors as they do each and every week for one practice. They do whatever they do, and what we've learned after the fact is what we learned. So what we learned today is that there's a number of players that are not going to be eligible to play this weekend, including offensive lineman Darius Bell, Dylan Jete, who is the receiver. Of course, he was drafted by the Riders. He really hasn't taken part in anything due to a thigh injury, that he's rehabbing. Daniel Johnson, Canadian O-lineman, is out with his shoulder injury. Lake Corte Moore and his knee has not, he's been getting a lot of extra treatment for sure. He did not practice for the most part this week, will not be in. Benoit Marion is on the 6-game injured list with his shoulder injury. Ryder Varga, boy, there's a guy that is working intensely right now to get into the lineup. He's unable to go, and Nick Wee was shaken up in practice this week during the padded session yesterday. He is going to be out this week. So those are what we know from Rider practice.
Do you think it's a call for concern to have this many guys that are your Canadian guys being injured this early into the season, Dave?
You know what? I'll tell you the truth. I saw the list. And I thought, wow, that's actually not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad considering, in years past, you go ahead and you have like 6, 7, 8, 9 guys on there. And I don't want to say these aren't long-term injuries, but like they are guys that'll likely get an opportunity to play this year. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like Sean McEwen last year in training camp day one goes down with his knee injury and he's done for the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's terrible.
Not a call for concern. It's not a tire fire. It's not smoldering. This is just a minor fire, like a train track fire. Like a spark goes off, and then you just get the fire extinguisher, put it out, and you're good. No problem.
We're now going to classify fires. I appreciate that. But tire fire is like one of the worst because it just never ends and it stinks.
Why not classify different types of fires, Dave? We can make a tier list together.
The best fire is campfire fire, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Fair.
Get your marshmallows, make your s'mores.
Yeah,
that is good. That is good.
Yeah. So that's the top. So we've just gone ahead and done a power ranking of fires. Tire fire being the lowest you can go.
Oh, well, like on the list, are we saying like the worst fires at the top or the worst fires at the bottom?
Well, see, you got to...
I was thinking worst fires at the top.
Yeah. So tire fires at the top, and then campfire where you cook s'mores is at the bottom. Fair?
Sure. What about like an electric fire?
That's not real.
Fireplace?
That is not real.
Doesn't make it to the list.
Does not apply here. Just so you know.
Okay.
Just so you know. Okay, let's go inside Mosaic Stadium today. Had an opportunity. Again, there are going to be new faces on special teams. Aaron Crawford is going to be the long snapper. He's looked really, really good. Again, coming off an injury in Calgary last year, he has performed well for the Roughriders thus far. You know that you're going to have a new kicker in Alex Hale, and then a fellow Australian in Oscar Chapman is going to be the punter this year, and he took some time to have a conversation. Pleased to be joined by Oscar Chapman, and the question Rider Nation wants to know, who's that new defensive lineman wearing number 91? And no, that's our new punter. How does this happen?
I wore 91 in college, and I guess that's the number I always had. I know that some of the guys have told me that there was a stud on defense that wore 91, so I hope to uphold what he did last year and bring a new face to special teams.
Okay, I thought you were meaning you wanted the same defensive tackles. That's not where you're going for here.
Oh, I hope I don't have to make too many tackles.
Let's talk a little bit about, first of all, welcome to Rider Nation. The fans are pretty excited to see you perform. Tell me about what you've learned about this province, this community as you come in as a new guy.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that if you're a Rider fan and you play for the team, that everyone in Saskatchewan knows you, and that they're best fans in the world. So I'm just excited to see everyone out there on the weekend and put my best foot forward and have a great game. And I'm just excited for that opportunity.
When doing research, there's a lot of wow moments when it comes to Oscar Chapman. You look at the NFL stint that you had in Minnesota, you look at your college career. How does this facility rate with what you've been accustomed to thus far in your North American career?
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's phenomenal. The weight room, the field, the training staff, and all the facilities we have here. It's amazing. It's the best I've seen up here, and I'm blessed to get an opportunity to be here for it.
You'll notice that I purposely left out the weather, but you've had to learn to kick in Saskatchewan weather. You had snow in training camp.
Yeah.
How has that been?
Oh, it's fun. I mean, getting a bit of snow and getting to stand out there in the cold has been good adjustment. But it's been so much fun getting to learn this and get that home field advantage, so pretty excited.
We see you bomb a 70-yard punt, for example, and we think, whoa, that was a great punt. It may not always be that in the eyes of coaches and punters. What is a great punt for Oscar Chapman?
Hang time and accuracy, so nice big ball that goes 45, 50 yards to the outside the numbers is always what we're looking for. So usually you see a coach pretty happy if I do something like that.
People listening will probably say, oh yeah, that's a great Toronto accent. No, I'm kidding. The Australian accent. How does the Australian punter land in Saskatchewan and North America?
Yeah, I mean, they reached out to me in the off season, and I was beyond excited to get an opportunity to come play up here. And you guys had just won the Grey Cup, so getting asked to come up here and play for such an amazing team is such a great opportunity. And I'm just so excited to get up here and explore the whole of Saskatchewan. So,
how is kicking different from back home to what you did in college to how you performed at the NFL preseason last year?
Yeah, so back home it's more of a passing game, kicking the ball to each other. And then we went to college, and it's kick it as high as you can and as far as away from everyone. And then it's basically the same thing here. So it's a big adjustment from when I first got here.
The ball's changed. Does that change the way that you kick it, or is it out of sight, out of mind?
It's all the same. There's a different sweet spot on it, but after the first week, I figured it out pretty well. So,
how excited are you for game number 1 as a Saskatchewan Roughrider?
I'm very excited, very keen to get out there, share my first game with a great group of specialists and guys around me, so very happy.
There you go. That is the new punter, Oscar Chapman of your Saskatchewan Roughriders. He was kicking in rain again today behind closed doors as the Riders practiced at Mosaic Stadium. Again, he's performed well, especially in the wind, and there was all kinds of windy conditions in Saskatoon for camp, and then, of course, some swirling stuff here in Regina as well. So Oscar Chapman excited to wear number 91 as a punter.
That is a very interesting number. It's hard to miss, eh?
Eyebrow raising, isn't it? Absolutely. We are going to be hearing from the best second down receiver in the CFL from 2025 coming up before we get to 6 o'clock. Rider Nation, if you've got questions, we want to answer them already. Todd is reaching out. Anyone know when the banner will be raised at Saturday night's game? I'm guessing before kickoff. And Todd, you are bang on. There is going to be, I think, I'm trying to find the right word for it. Like, I don't want to say brief because it is going to be, having been in 2014 when they raised a flag after the 2013 championship and the home opener that year for the Roughriders, it's one of those moments that you think about and like, whew, I'm so glad I was there. And when they unveil this banner on Saturday night, yes, the team wants to put it behind them to focus on this year and what they need to do, but there's going to be a moment of reflection and celebration for sure. Just saying. So before the game, plotted in, planted in, that is when that will happen. So yes. Also on that text line for Prairie Land Rentals at 306-936-6262, Roscoe says maybe in regards to Edmonton, the clowns are running the circus.
The clowns running the circus.
Not the monkeys, as you had mentioned.
You know, I guess technically speaking, there's probably some circuses out there that don't have monkeys, Dave. So that is a good point.
Dean on the text line says, Chris Streveler, a perennial backup quarterback, being honored in Winnipeg. Wow. I hate to say, it's interesting, right? But again, Streveler kind of, I guess, became a fan favorite, so you can understand, right?
Remember, people, there's power in being likable. So it's like that one coworker that doesn't really do anything, but they're just a riot at the office, so everyone loves them.
Yeah. You know what? That could be like, and again, you know, the defining thing for me with Chris Streveler and his career, by the way, isn't his accomplishments, because he had so many, right? Like, to play in the NFL, you've got to do the things right. To play in the CFL, you got to do things right. But when he, 9 or 11 passes that he threw in a Winnipeg win. Remember that game?
Oh, I think I have the stats. Like, he only had 3 completions.
Yeah.
And they won the game, yeah.
And they didn't let him throw the football. And to me, that speaks volumes of, like, the trust level that was or wasn't there, if you know what I mean. And anyways, like I said, that was kind of a defining one for me. But weigh in what you think. Let us know if you've got questions for any of the guests coming up. That would be terrific too. 306-936-6262. The Prairie Land Rentals text line.
Here, I got it. In the most famous CFL win where he had 3 completions on 8 attempts.
There you go.
So he went 3 for 8 and they won the game. That's some good stuff.
I thought it was 9, but yeah, 8. That was something. Okay, the Sports Cage on this Thursday brought to you by Access Communications, trusted in rural Saskatchewan for internet, TV, and home security. We're heading out on the Western Pizza guest hotline in just a moment. TSN's Brit Dort is standing by, getting set for week 2 of CFL action. Of course, kicks off tonight. Our Riders, we get to go on Saturday when we host the BC Lions. Brit is going to talk about that as well as her flight schedule. It's coming up in a moment. This is the Sports Cage. We are streaming at sportscage.com on YouTube, X, and, well, anywhere else. And then, of course, we're on your radio at 620 CKRM. Welcome back to the Sports Cage. Time to head out on the Western Pizza guest hotline. I am so excited that the Air Miles champion of Canada is taking some time for us this afternoon. So pleased to welcome from TSN, Brit Dort. You've got a few miles under your belt this year already, huh?
I did. I just moved up in status with Air Canada, so I'm feeling pretty good.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, first of all, me living vicariously through you, watching you, following you. You're doing such an amazing job. You just got back from the World Men's Hockey Championship. Can you tell me about some of these moments you've experienced thus far this year?
Oh, gosh, you're too kind. I live vicariously through you, too, the way that you get to follow around the Riders. No, you know what? I was just in Switzerland. I was in Freiburg and in Zurich, just covering Team Canada and the rest of their group as they made their way through the World Championships. And, yeah, it was a great experience, very exhausting. I did 32 hockey games in 16 days. So I'm okay with not being at a rink anytime soon.
No doubt. But did you ever have a pinch me moment like, hey, I'm talking with Sidney Crosby right now. We're just going to talk a little bit about what happened in that game and get ready for the next. And, like, do you ever just like, whoa, that was pretty cool?
You know what? I feel bad because so many people have said that to me. And last year when I did it, I was in Denmark and I wasn't in Canada's pool. But when the quarterfinal happened, Canada crossed over and came to Denmark. And so I ended up kind of covering Team Canada for a game then. And so I had a conversation with Sidney Crosby and, Ryan O'Reilly. And in that moment, I didn't even take a time to go, oh, my goodness, what am I doing right now? Because you're so overwhelmed and you have a job at hand. And I think you understand that being in the industry, you just realize that it's your career and you just have a task to do. And so I honestly probably don't reflect as much as I do because I'm always moving on to the next thing. I finish an interview and I go, okay, where do I need to be next? And what notes do I need to take from that to move on to the next, game that I'm going to do?
Yeah, I can understand that. And you can see your hard work and preparation and how it pays off. And now you get a chance to come back on this side of the pond. Like, first of all, do you know what time zone you're in right now? Because I can't imagine you're in Ottawa last week and we're Sasky people.
It was a little bit hard because, I flew back to Ontario, and that's obviously 2 hours ahead of what we are here in Sasky. And so I was only 6 hours difference from what I had been in Europe. So I kind of adjusted and I made it work. And then I flew back to Saskatchewan on Sunday because I'd done 2 games out in Ontario, in Hamilton and Ottawa. And I didn't think the 2 hour difference would make a huge difference because I had just come from Europe. And I think this one's kicked my butt harder than coming back from Europe.
Well, let's talk CFL. Of course, TSN's Brit Dort kind enough to join us this afternoon on the Sports Cage. And Brit, you talk about 2 different games, just not even considering the monsoon that you experienced in Ottawa. What was your takeaways from week number 1?
Well, I started in Hamilton, and you know what? It was a little windy out there. People had warned me. I had never done a game out in Hamilton, and they said you can expect wind. So good thing I put my hair back. But that first game, unreal. Obviously, went to overtime, big things happening. I was really excited to see what Bo Levi-Mitchell could do again because talking to him and then, talking to his head coach, Scott Milanovic, they both were really excited for this year because it was Bo's third year in that offense. He even said Bo had his best training camp that he'd ever seen. And, I know we like to often joke about the ages of the quarterbacks in this league, and Bo is kind of one of them that's at the front of those jokes. But I actually did think he had, a good game. I know they didn't end up winning, but it was a good game. I thought that, there's lots to clean up after week 1. I think everybody knows that. Your defenses are trying to learn how to, rattle these offenses. It's the X's and O's. But then, I went to Ottawa for my game 2. It was game 3 of the week, and it rained the entire time. It didn't stop. It started during warm-ups. They had to delay warm-ups because there was lightning, and it literally stopped raining the second I finished my last on-field interview at the end of the game. And I thought, well, it's a good time to stop raining.
Yeah. Well, you could have built an ark beforehand and maybe been prepared, right?
I was laughing. I was like, I fill in for Claire Hanna and Matthew Shinetti. At least one of the games is going to be a rain game. Yeah,
lucky you, right? For being out in the elements. But how much did the elements impact the game, in your opinion, in Ottawa?
You know what? I had actually asked, I went and talked to Brett Lawther, former Rider kicker, because now he's on Ottawa. And I even just asked him, because during warm-ups, I was like, how tough is it for you even planting your foot? It was slippery out there, right? And he actually said, he goes, it's way tougher for the guy snapping the ball or the guy, your holder. He said, just how slippery the ball is and just trying to get the strings where you need them. He said it's actually way tougher on them than it is on me. And you could tell because I had asked, Jake Mayer in my pregame interview, same thing, how do you play with these elements? Because it's pouring. It's not just a light drizzle, it's pouring. And he said, it's tough. You have to figure out your cadences, and now things are a little slicker, and you're going to probably rely on that run game a little bit more. But if you didn't come into this game with that run game plan, you have to change all that. And same thing at halftime. I talked to Dinwiddie and I said, what do you change in your game plan when it's going like this? And same thing. He's just like, you just have to rely on basically your guys more that can run the ball, or you just have to kind of hope that your defense knows how to stop these plays. I think it did play a role. There were a lot of 2-and-outs. I mean, you saw that. That's also week 1 of CFL, I think. Again, guys are still getting to learn it, and that's what Cody Fajardo said. He's like, I love week 1 because it's the X's and O's. It's, everybody's figuring out what everybody's doing, but I think others probably don't love week 1 because you're dealing with that.
True. In that game, the Edmonton Elks defeated Ottawa 29-21. Watching your post-game interviews, and I don't know, again, right, it's hard to feel things through a screen, but to me, the feeling that I got from your interviews was a sense of almost relief. And I don't know if that's the right word or not, but did you sense that at all being there, that Edmonton was able to get that elusive week 1 win?
I think so. I think, looking at them, they were obviously disappointed the last few seasons they have been, and I think they're on the upswing. I'm going to be positive toward Edmonton. I think what's not playing in their favor is how strong the West is going to be this year. So even if Edmonton improves, they're competing against, the Lions, the Riders, the Bombers, which I think are all going to be really competitive teams, the Stamps. Like, they're in a tough side of the CFL right now. But I think it was a sense of relief, talking to Mark Killam. I think he even just feels so much more comfortable in year 2, right? He's got, you have to get all those wrinkles out in the first year, right? You're trying to figure it out. You're getting to learn guys. And I mean, even Cody Fajardo, I don't know if you listened during the game, he had talked to us about there was a chance he maybe didn't come back to the CFL, and he felt like he had unfinished business. And he's like, not to say that this is the Cody Fajardo farewell tour, but I want to come back and play one game at a time and maybe one season at a time. Who knows how much longer? And so I think for him, even, it's like he took this sacrifice. He talked to his wife about it, and he came back for another season. So like you said, it's that sense of relief of, okay, I got one win under my belt. Like, it can be worth it.
What about Ottawa? I didn't sense any panic or anything. It seemed like, okay, it's just a one-game thing. Jake Mayer's still going to be our guy. Was that the feelings you got there too?
Well, we actually talked about this after the game when we were heading out, and we just kind of said that, how long is the leash for Jake Mayer? Was anybody, again, the elements played a big role, but were you impressed enough by what Jake Mayer did in week 1? Because he even kind of talked about being a little shocked that he was picked to be the starter over Drew Brown. And I don't know. I don't know if we'll see Jake Mayer for much, much longer, given that performance. I think Drew Brown still has some great tendencies. And so I will be interested to see who Dinwiddie goes with. I'm sure the next game it still will be Jake Mayer, but I'm thinking he's got to have a good performance. And again, maybe not play in a pouring down rain game to see what he can do.
No doubt. Well, the weather looks like it's going to be great Saturday here in Regina. The BC Lions, of course, in town to take on the Saskatchewan Roughriders. First and foremost, are you anticipating getting some feels when they unveil that banner before kickoff?
Oh my gosh. You know what? I was watching the video of AJ Ouellette, I think, and he was on Instagram, and he had said something about when he looked up and only seen what feels like a small amount of championships for a team that deserves more, and how, it almost fired him up and fueled him to want to see another banner up there, especially in his time. And I think it will be interesting because obviously, we probably remember 2013 so well, and 2013 doesn't seem that long ago, but at the same time, it is long ago. So I think it will be interesting, especially it's the first one they're going to unveil in the new stadium, right? And they have those little spaces. In practice every day you look up, you can see where they have spaces for what's supposed to be future banners. So I think it'll be interesting. I'm interested to see the reaction from Rider Nation, as I'm sure you are.
Yeah, for sure. Brit Dort from TSN is joining us. Brit, little known story. So I think it was day number 2 for me in Saskatchewan with the Roughriders, and we're down where the media hang out, and you're like, hey, Dave, we do this thing. You got to get this photo taken. And I was like, well, it's pretty cool that you're going to include me in it. That's awesome. And since then, I've respected the work and the conversations that we've had. So now I'm really anticipating and excited to hear what you feel about these Saskatchewan Roughriders going into 2026.
First of all, I am upset you guys took the media photo without me this year. I saw it on Instagram, and I gave, a couple of the media members some trouble for it. I said, you guys couldn't have waited till Friday when I got there for walkthrough practice, but you guys insisted on taking it day 1. So I thought with AI we could have at least edited me in the photo this year for our local media folk, because we know we're all in it together. We spend more time with each other, usually than our significant others, it feels like, during Riders season. But no, going into Rider season, I haven't been there for training camp, which I almost feel that step behind because the last few years I've always had training camp. And then, they had that bye week 1. And so I'm coming into it. I mean, I'm optimistic, but I do know that they, a couple key pieces on defense are gone this year. I'm intrigued to see what this offense looks like. I would love to even hear from you. Like, what have you seen in practice this week leading into the first game of the year?
Sharp, focused, and don't ask about 2025 because that was last year.
Oh, okay. So we've already moved on. They'll do the banner raising and then they'll move on, hey?
100%. It's a very, very focused group, and nobody seemingly, and I'm surprised, nobody is buying into the whole rivalry with BC and this being a rematch of the West Final. It's just game 1 going 1-0. How many times have you heard that?
I know. Do you know what? That's funny you say that, too, because last week, it was Montreal-Hamilton as my first game, and that was a repeat of last year's Eastern Final. So, of course, same thing. I asked a couple of the Ticats. I said, does it feel good to start against the team that knocked you out last year? And a lot of them said the same thing, like, yeah, I guess, but realistically, it's just another game, and we want to win it. And, everybody's won or lost to everybody in this league that they didn't really view it that way.
Yeah, no, I think that's the sense that I get. You look at the BC Lions roster that I know you're preparing for right now. Obviously, the focal point is going to be Nathan Rourke, but there's some other intriguing pieces there too, I think.
Oh, for sure. James Butler, I'm always excited to watch him, see what he can do on the ground. Keon Hatcher, I'm intrigued to see if he can have a season like last year. I really think he will. I was watching a couple videos of him at practice and just the leader that he is, I think, for that receiving core. I think it's going to be interesting. Like you said, Nathan Rourke, that's why I think BC is really going to be a tough team to beat this year. I just think Rourke is going to find a great way to lead them. Not that he already hasn't, but I just think he's just that much more comfortable in this offense and coming in. And then defense-wise, Matthew Betts, how do you not look past that guy? I think I'm happy I'm not a quarterback, because if I was a quarterback, I'd be scared to be playing against Matthew Betts.
That is so true. So true. Wow.
And Darnell Sankey, what a pickup for them in the offseason. Montreal talked about it to me last week, how kind of almost sad the team was to lose a guy like Darnell Sankey. And they knew how big of an impact he is. Off the field, leader, but on the field, same thing. You don't want Darnell Sankey coming at you.
Very true. Very true. Well, the game is coming at us. 5 o'clock, of course, is going to be the kickoff. Can't wait to see you at Mosaic Stadium this weekend, Brit. Again, congratulations on all you've done. It's really cool, and watching you work is inspiring. So great job. Thanks that you're back in Saskatchewan so you can get a true pierogi meal in you before you get to the ballpark. We will see you soon.
Couple cabbage rolls, couple pierogies, you know it.
There you go. Thanks so much for doing this.
Oh, Dave, thanks so much, and I'm so happy you're back for another season. I can't wait to listen to you when I'm not doing the games. I like to listen to you, so I appreciate you even having me on. It's a pleasure.
Checks in the mail.
Thanks, Dave. Have a good one.
That's TSN's Brit Dort joining us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline, the Greek-style pizza that's become famous around the world, plus all the Greek and Canadian food you just can't get enough of. Western Pizza, the local legend. Hey, check them out tonight. Time for a break on the Sports Cage. We'll come back with your Sports Cage ticker in a bit. Plus, we're going to be heading down to Raleigh, North Carolina, where we'll check in with Eric Francis. Yeah, we'll get inside the NHL, and Stanley Cup Final Game number 5 goes tonight. That's all on the way here on a Sports Cage Thursday. Dave Thomas in for Barney Shankaruk for Access Communications. It's the Sports Cage, streaming at sportscage.com, and, of course, on your radio at 620 CKRM. Sports Cage rolling on this Thursday. Dave Thomas in for Barney Shankaruk. Thanks again to Brit Dort for joining us. Brit will be in Saskatchewan as the Riders take on the BC Lions on Saturday night. We're going to talk about that, tell you what you can expect when you're coming down to the ballpark, as well as the new tailgating. The tailgating area is going to be a lot of fun. I know Luke Mullender is excited for it. We're going to be there too. We as in Luke and I, as well as 620 CKRM. We're going to be set up outside just south of the Brandt Center, so get set for that. A lot of reaction regarding the Edmonton Oilers potentially being a tire fire. Thanks for reaching out on the text line.
A smoldering tire fire.
A smoldering tire fire. 306-936-6262. You want to know where there's going to be a big fire today, or at least a lot of smoke, I would guess? Out in Regina Beach.
Why?
Former Regina Pats head coach Lauren Mulliken celebrating his 70th birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah. Happy birthday to Mooner out at the lake. Not saying it's going to be a big fire, but there's going to be a lot of smoke from those candles.
There you go.
You know
Well, 70 of them, eh?
Yeah, you know who else is celebrating a birthday today? Joe Montana.
Joe Montana.
Joe Montana.
Joe Montana.
You're looking to see how old he is?
Yes.
What
70 as well.
70 as well. I was going to say, what
Wow.
would your guess have been? Because Joe Montana, it feels like yesterday that he was playing. And he was honored by the San Francisco 49ers. Sorry, kicking dirt on the whole Chris Strevler honoring thing tonight.
Yeah. The comeback kid, hey? What? Are you still the comeback kid if you're 70 years old?
Yes, you are, and your name is Joe Montana. You are always the comeback kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I would have guessed 70. I probably would have said like 60 something, but yeah.
70.
70.
Also, I can see you doing math in your head. Don't hurt yourself because that looked really tough.
Do you see the smoldering smoke that comes from it?
It wasn't a tire fire,
think
but yeah, I
hard.
did notice it.
I think hard, Dave.
Yeah, okay. What were you thinking? Do I want to know?
Nope.
Okay. 64 years ago today, something significant happened in history.
I despise when you do trivia to me. 64 years ago today?
Yeah.
The invention of the internet? I don't know.
No. Yeah, no.
64 years ago today.
I know you're Googling right now, and
I'm going to figure it out.
I'm curious if our Sports Cage crew can decipher. Frank, John, and Clarence did something remarkable on this day.
Escape from Alcatraz?
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Google didn't do me dirty this time. It was the first thing that popped up.
Was it really? On
Yes.
68 years ago? Is that what you did?
I did 64 years ago
64,
today.
pardon me, yeah.
And it said, 64 years ago today, on the night of June 11th, 1962, inmates Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence executed the famous daring escape from the supposedly escape-proof Alcatraz.
There you go.
Wow. It's like the unsinkable Titanic.
And of course, that's where Joe Montana fits in, right? Mm-hmm. Because San Francisco. See, look at me what I did there, right? I've never been to Alcatraz. It is a bucket list. A bucket list adventure.
Really?
Yeah.
Alcatraz. How high on the bucket list is Alcatraz for you, bud?
Oof, probably top 5.
Do you want to be in or just visiting?
Well, just visiting. Yeah. No, I'm not looking for a pass. I would go as a tourist.
Okay.
It does freak me out, though. What was the Nick Cage movie? The Rock.
Nick Cage movie.
Yeah, The Rock. It was on...
Speaking of Nick Cage, he started doing that Spider Noir. I saw that the other day. It was very interesting. It's like black and white on like Amazon Prime. So Spider-Man that's like black and white set in the 1960s New York. But you can also watch it in color. Don't watch it in color. I don't recommend it. But yeah, Nicolas Cage, that's a guy that does not turn down any movie.
That is true. Very true. 64 years ago today, Alcatraz escape. We are going to take a break because I want to get to some news coming out of the BC Lions that is going to make Trevor Harris a very happy man. We will share that news coming up, as well as take a look at your Sports Cage ticker. We'll find out whether the Western Canadian Baseball League can survive the showers. Right now, it looks promising. Right now, but we'll get into that as well as take a look at Game 5 in the Stanley Cup Final. That is all on the way. We'll take a break now, though. This is the Sports Cage. We are streaming at sportscage.com and on your radios, as always, on the mighty 620 CKRM.
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Reliance Heath Water Heater Rentals. Rent a water heater and water softener starting at about $1.20 a day and get $400 when you switch to Reliance Heath.
All right, here we go. Sports Cage ticker again for Reliance Heath on this Thursday afternoon. Let's get to what we're going to watch tonight. The Canadian Football League Week 2 kicks off. Tiger Cats in Winnipeg to take on the Blue Bombers, who are honoring Chris Strevler tonight. That kickoff's at 6:30. Western Canadian Baseball League regular season. The Regina Red Sox are in Saskatoon to take on the Berries tonight, 7 o'clock first pitch. Also, the Weyburn Beavers are taking on the Moose Jaw Miller Express. National Hockey League Stanley Cup Final, Game 5 tonight. Vegas taking on Carolina. Momentarily, we are going to go down to to Carolina and Raleigh, North Carolina. Depends how you want to pronounce it, right? There's so many different people that say Raleigh. And I'm like, really? Just Raleigh? No, it's Raleigh. We'll talk to Eric Francis. He is hanging out at the site of the Stanley Cup final that resumes tonight with the series knotted at 2 wins apiece. He is coming up. But BC Lions have indicated and released their injury report for the week, and one of the notable scratches is going to be defensive back Gary Peters. He is going to miss the contest on Saturday with a knee injury, of course, nicked up last year. He is a force in the secondary, but no Gary Peters. Deontay Williams, former Saskatchewan Roughrider, had been battling an ankle issue. Looks like he will be available to play, but then you've got Andrew Pearson on the offensive line that'll be out with his shoulder injury. You've also got some other secondary folks nicked up. Jet Elad, probably notable, if you will, with a hip injury, and has also been ruled out for the game on Saturday night, the BC Lions and your Saskatchewan Roughriders. Also, keep the questions coming as we will ask President and CEO Craig Reynolds, who will be joining us at 4:30. Anything that you want to ask, we will get it out there because it is going to be a lot of fun on Saturday night, and there's going to be some changes when it comes to the Riders game day presentation. He is set to join us in about 30 minutes or so from now. The Prairieland Rentals text line is 306-936-6262. We can tell you about a final in the World Cup of Soccer today. Mexico, they opened the tournament with a 2-0 victory over South Korea today, despite only having 10 men, as the first red card of the tournament took apparently 49 minutes to come out as a defender would tackle one of the South Africans in the box on a breakaway. So, but again, how does that happen? You can't. Again, we're not allowed to show the pictures. Just saying. But I don't understand. I just don't understand. Also, of note, in the National Hockey League, the NHL is apparently investigating Mike Babcock and whether or not he can coach the Edmonton Oilers. Darnell Nurse says that he wants out. Well, Joe Pavelski is apparently interviewing for the Toronto Maple Leafs head coaching job. That's a new name that I did not expect to come. Wonder if they asked Austin Matthews first. Don't laugh. It's serious because the Oilers apparently had Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl talking to Mike Babcock.
What was the thing I said earlier? The monkeys running the circus?
Running the circus, which we've gone ahead. Roscoe has said, no, it should be the clowns running the circus.
Clowns running the circus. Why not ask Austin Matthews? Hey, buddy, what do you think?
But you know what? I will give Jeffrey credit on our YouTube chat. And again, just like, subscribe, follow along on YouTube, and you're in the game kind of thing. And he did point out that, you know, the players are much different than what they used to be, right? Like, I don't think that Mitch Marner in Vegas would have been consulted for John Tortorella.
Maybe they should consult Mitch Marner on what not to do, you know, keep a few guys in the building.
Yeah. Well, but Tortorella has kind of said, like, he's gone. Like, he's done. When this runs over, he's gone. So whether he's going off into retirement, never say never that you won't be back, but I don't know. It's very, very interesting. But yeah, like, again, we'll ask the players. And like maybe a guy like Mark Stone, who Kelly McCrimmon trusts implicitly in Vegas after their time in Brandon together, brings him in, has a conversation with the captain and says, hey, what do you think?
Yeah, it seems ridiculous to say that the players should run the show, but their input is something that could be accounted for, right? Like they are, it's a team, but ultimately it shouldn't be the guys that are the players on the team that are making the decisions. That's the point of the coaching and personnel.
Yeah, no, for sure. And whether Connor McDavid will ever admit it or not, he wasn't a Chris Knobloch fan at the end. Because, again, when they played Tampa Bay, right, and he talked about John Cooper and how prepared he was and the best coach he's had, and I'm like you kind of got to go back in the room back there and see your coach, right?
We're going to have to wait 20 years when the biopic comes out. It's just called McDavid, and then we'll see all. Maybe Nick Cage will be playing McDavid by then. Doesn't say no to any movie roles, and we'll get to see what's really going on behind closed doors.
Why can't I think of what McDavid's quote was? Remember, he was sitting in the room, and he was
like
sitting
the Game
there.
7 quote.
Yeah, what was it? Remember, he was sitting there. I can't remember what it was. Like it was like tighten up, but it wasn't.
It was like dig in.
Yeah, it was
Dig in with a little bit of extra words added in.
that we can't say.
Yeah.
Fair. Very fair. Who has extra words to say? Well, we're going to head off to the newsroom, find out the latest from what's happening there in just a moment, as well get to your weather details, and then we will go down to Carolina and join Eric Francis ahead of Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final. That's coming up next on the Sports Cage. This is the Sports Cage, streaming at sportscage.com and on YouTube, and of course at 620 CKRM. Dave Thomas in for Barney Shankaruk on this Thursday afternoon. 2 more sleeps until the Riders open their season against the BC Lions at Mosaic Stadium. Riders president and CEO Craig Reynolds is going to be joining us before the top of the clock to tell us about what's happening with the Riders and their brand new game experience that, well, words spoke out, or at least stood out, when I was listening to head coach Corey Mace describe what it's going to be like on game day around Mosaic Stadium. I'll share that with you coming up. As well, we're going to talk about Week 2 in the CFL. Glen Suitor is going to be joining us momentarily, but I don't want to waste any more time. It's time to go to Carolina, Game 5. Carolina Hurricanes taking on the Vegas Golden Knights tonight. Eric Francis is there, and he joins us now on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline.
Now for Inside the NHL with Eric Francis on the Sports Cage. Inside the NHL is brought to you by Sports Select. Getting in on more of the sports action you want is as easy as playing at sportsselect.com. Simply make your picks online, generate your QR code, and lock in your bet at your local Lotto Spot retailer.
Eric Francis is with us. Game 5 is tonight. Good day, sir. How many other people are aware in your surroundings that Game 5 in the NHL Stanley Cup Final is tonight?
Here in Raleigh, you mean? Yeah, people are aware. They are casual fans. I mean, there's some rabid locals that are really into it and make it a very loud building. But, yeah, when I ask Uber drivers, are they Canes fans, you get a lukewarm response often.
Is that the new football team in town or what?
Yeah.
So, Game 5 is tonight. Who's got momentum in this series?
You know, I feel like Carolina has the momentum. I mean, they regained home ice advantage. They played 2 of the next 3 here. It's a loud building. I'm not saying they've figured out Vegas, but I think they're a little more comfortable with the problems that Vegas presents, and I think they've had some pretty good solutions. And winning that last game, and having to bounce back, like it was back and forth. And I don't know. My short answer would be Carolina. But man, like flip a coin. This is such a tight, even series. It's, one bounce here or there, and either team could win it.
Has anything about this series surprised you?
Yeah, the goals. Like, I was looking at it today. To get to the Stanley Cup Final, Carolina did it the way they always do it, which is airtight defense. They averaged 1.42 goals against in the first 3 rounds against some pretty good teams.
Yeah.
Now they're averaging 4 a game against them in this final. And, neither team has been airtight defensively. Taylor Hall said today, the team that wins this series is going to be the team that starts to finally figure out how to play defense. I don't know if he's right or not. And he kind of laughed saying, newsflash, it's not a big shocker when I say that that's kind of going to be the difference. But nobody can figure out a way why. It's been wide open, incredible hockey. My fear is funny, Dave, like going into this series, people are asking for my opinion. Not that it matters, but they're like, what do you think is going to happen? I said, well, my fear is 2 really good teams defensively. It's going to be boring hockey, 1-0, 2-1. Man, was I wrong. Holy cow. It's a shootout.
Is that because of the goaltending, at least on the Carolina side?
Yeah, Freddie Anderson's been, not very good, and now he's not even starting anymore, obviously. As an update for that, he did not skate with the team today, so I can't imagine he'd be the backup, but he did skate before the practice, like alone, just to get his feet under him. And, and I don't really want to delve into it too much because we don't know, but, no one's really sure if this is an injury or if this is a bit of a mental health break. I mean, his agent died last week. It was pretty public how hard that was on Freddie Anderson. No one really knows, but at the end of the day, no one's really worried about digging into it too much. Give the guy his space. And Brandon Busty is, quite frankly, I think he's a better goalie. I know the sample size is smaller, but, Freddie Anderson is prone to being wildly unpredictable. And Busty's career is short, but he's been very good during it. So, I don't know. Yeah, the goaltending hasn't been great, and that is, I guess you knew at some point with Anderson and a very unproven Carter Hart, somebody was going to crack in the final. It turns out both of them did.
Also, maybe as unpredictable is what John Tortorella might say. Do you know who his top line is?
Well, I asked him that the other day, like, do you need more from your top line? I did not expect the response, who's my top line? Look, obviously the way Marner, Howden, and William Karlsson have played, they've got 9 of their 16 goals in the final. They're playing like their top line, but everybody knows the line with Jack Eichel on it is always going to be your number one line, especially when the captain's on there too, Mark Stone. So, yeah, they have only scored 2 goals in this whole series, and if they're going to win this series, you need them to be better. And when I wrote that yesterday, it's funny, and not suggesting Jack Eichel would have read it, but he came into the locker room today. He was the last one off the ice, and there was the biggest scrum waiting for him at his locker. And he knew why. He knew that he knows he needs to be better. He's got 2 assists in this series. It's about time he scores a goal, or at least has a bigger impact offensively.
It's funny because I was asked once, how do you talk to somebody that either struggled or is struggling when it comes to a player? And it's like, they're the first ones to know that they're struggling, aren't they?
Yeah, you still have to be careful with your words, though, right? They don't like to hear it from somebody else that they're not playing that well. And I've seen many, many exchanges where we as the media will come to a guy and basically we're tiptoeing around the fact that we don't think he's been very good. Sometimes the athletes are like, what are you talking about? I've been doing better than you guys are giving me credit for. So he's well aware that he needs to up his game. Look, he's been a point-a-game guy throughout his playoff career, throughout this playoffs, but it's the final now, and this is where they need him most, in the final 3 games.
NHL insider Eric Francis joining us from Carolina, getting set for Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight. I am absolutely intrigued with Mitch Marner. In Western Canada, we didn't get a real chance to follow him, but I don't know what happened. How did the light switch go on, or was it always there and just we had dim bulbs watching him?
Installation is my answer. I mean, look, in Toronto, he was the guy. Him and Matthews, they were a pretty deep team, some of those Leaf teams, but they weren't deep like this. This is a whole other level of depth. So he can be insulated by all sorts of other guys. On any given night, he can count on, Eichel, Mark Stone, who's the captain. He can count on Brett Howden, who knew he's got 14 goals in these playoffs. There are all sorts of other guys who could stand up. Dorofeyev is their leading scorer this year. He's been kind of quiet in the final, and Barbashev's another guy. So it's not all on Mitch Marner, but I think the difference in his game, I do feel like he's going to the tougher areas more. In Toronto, that was the big knock that I saw and I heard. He was a perimeter player and he wouldn't go to the inside. Maybe some people thought he was scared, but whatever it is, now he's getting into the dirty areas. He's scoring from the slot. God, he's had 1 million breakaways. He's the best playmaker in the series by a mile. He's been absolutely incredible. I've covered this team now for the last month. And what Mitch Marner's doing, I'm not sure I've seen a player do that in 20 or 30 years. There's actually talk that period where he had the 3 goals and the assist, some are saying, and it's hard to quantify, but some are saying that might be the greatest period ever played by a hockey player in the Stanley Cup Final. And, empirically, like numbers-wise, who could argue with it? There were a couple other chances where he didn't get points, where his teammates should have buried. Like, he could have had 5 or 6 points in that period. So Mitch Marner, there's no debating who wins the Conn Smythe. Let's put it that way. If Vegas emerges victorious, if it's Carolina, then it looks like it'd be Jordan Staal. But if it's Vegas, it's Mitch's award.
I was one of those that thought right off the hop, there is no way that Mitch Marner can coexist with John Tortorella. Apparently, I am wrong.
That's funny, isn't it? I said the same thing when Daryl Sutter came to Calgary and he had Johnny Gaudreau, and I thought, oh my gosh, fire and ice, this is never going to work. Johnny Gaudreau had his best season ever of his career when Daryl Sutter arrived. So sometimes there are some strange bedfellows out there. Like, this is one, I agree with you. He's helped make Marner better somehow, some way. I don't understand it. Maybe by virtue of just the line combination. Once William Karlsson came back from injury, Mitch Marner went from center back to his natural position on the wing. Brett Howden's playing like he's a 50-goal scorer. And the combination on that line has been magical. So give the coach credit for that and or whatever it is he's said and done to help get the most out of Mitch Marner.
We are going to get back to Daryl Sutter in a moment, Eric Francis, but I do. No,
my favorite. My favorite.
Is this series as simple to say as whoever wins tonight wins the series?
Oh, man. I mean, it's easy to say that. I think I was looking at the stats today. The team that breaks that 2-2 deadlock wins 75% of the time. Obviously, it would. But I wouldn't go and I'm not going to Vegas when we get there tomorrow and going straight to the wicket and saying whoever won tonight is winning tomorrow. I think that home ice hasn't been as important in this series. They've split each in the other team's building. I don't think it's that simple. And because it's so razor thin, the margins, and there's so much depth, and on any given night, it could be anyone who's a hero. I'm not willing to say that. No, I'm not.
Okay, let's we use the classification as tire fire. We were actually ranking fires earlier, so it's a busy day in Saskatchewan, as you can imagine. But tire fire we thought was probably one of the biggest one, and we used it to describe the Edmonton Oilers and their coaching search, which may or may not include Mr. Sutter. It does certainly include Mike Babcock. Anything you're hearing about this?
Well, it sounds like it's in the hands of the NHL to do their investigation at the behest of the NHLPA, because there are allegations that haven't even been surfaced yet that were not. It's my understanding that what he was relieved of his duties of in Columbus. We are all led to believe it's because he went into his players' phones, but there is apparently other stuff out there that the league needs to look into because they didn't last time. So this could take a while before they make a judgment, a ruling on this. And in the meantime, maybe Edmonton has a chance to let cooler heads prevail and realize maybe this isn't worth it. I mean, look, they're no strangers to taking PR hits because they've made some very unpopular moves over the last several years with an eye on, trying to get a winner while this window is closing rapidly. And I get that. But this seems to be very desperate and narrow-minded to me. And I don't know what it does to the long-term, in terms of long-term damage to the brand. Evander Kane, you go through the list of guys that they sign and everyone's like, wow, okay, we don't like them, but if it can help us win, we'll try it. Not many people like this, nor think it will work. And when you really only have 1 year left to try and get a winner with Draisaitl and McDavid left in your lineup, that's an awful lot to bet on a guy who's got a real checkered past and very little success in the playoffs other than the one Stanley Cup win. So I think it's a very puzzling move. We'll leave it at that.
There's rumblings, though, that McDavid and Draisaitl apparently have talked to Babcock. Is that surprising? Do you believe it's true? Is that the inmates running the asylum? Or, as my good friend Curtis across the board here would say, the monkeys running the circus?
Put it either way you want. They have been involved, it's my understanding, yes, from various reports, people I trust, the players were definitely consulted. And, they're at a point in time where, look, it was the players who basically wanted a new coach who was going to be harder on them. So they consulted the players heavily on what went wrong. And now the players are saying, we want someone who's harder on us. And the list of guys that you can turn to who are notorious hard asses, we'll say, it's short because the game has run those guys out of the game, like Mike Babcock, like Daryl Sutter. And now, as they contemplate finding one more of those dinosaurs, they're also, they're looking at guys like Babcock, and, I'm sure they probably looked at Daryl Sutter too.
Well, that is the rumor. The other one coming out of Edmonton today, which I think is fascinating, is that apparently Darnell Nurse is on the trade block, not because the fans want him, but actually because he wants out. Surprised?
Yeah, I mean, Mark Spector did a brilliant job with an article last week saying that the team was basically ready to trade him and they don't want him anymore, and they were going to have a meeting with him to talk about his future. And it sounds like he either beat them to the punch or had the meeting and decided, not only do you not want me, I don't want you, especially after what was said and written about him. So he wants out, but guess what? It's not that simple. I want to win the lottery, but it doesn't make it so. this guy's making a lot of money and is very and doesn't exactly live up to the amount of money he's being paid. So if the Oilers are to find someone who can pay some of his salary, won't be all of it, the Oilers are still going to have to take a massive hit, I think, in terms of eating some of his salary to make a trade possible. I like Darnell Nurse. I think he gets a bad rap. I really do. He'll forever be pegged to that ridiculous contract, which, of course, we all would have negotiated for ourselves if we could have. But, I think in the playoffs, I like the rough style he plays. People are scared to go near him. I do understand he's a liability as well. So, anyway, it's time to part ways. It's not going to be simple, though.
All right, back to Game 5 tonight. Who should we be cheering for? It seems like Vegas is like the Darth Vaders in Saskatchewan right now. Nobody wants to cheer for the bad guys. I don't know if they are or not, but who should we?
No, you're right, though. It seems like they are the old, Oakland Raiders of the NHL. So they're not well liked. I kind of like how cutthroat they are. I think it's kind of funny. But in terms of who we're cheering for, I don't know. I may have gone to a ticket wicket and put a wager down on the series. I thought Vegas was the better team, and I kind of still think they're going to win this series. I was surprised when Carolina won the other night. So I'm not cheering for anybody. I kind of want to go home. So I guess I'm cheering for anything but Game 7. And I'd be the only one because everybody loves a Game 7.
And I just got a text from a colleague. I will not mention the name. Ask him who has got the better media meal, Carolina or Vegas.
Well, that's an interesting question because the media meal in Vegas is phenomenal. It's maybe the best that I've seen. But here in Carolina, they give you a voucher to go to Shake Shack or Chick-fil-A. So you get a $25 voucher, but you got to go onto the concourse with all the fans and line up forever. But when the end result is a Shake Shack, it's kind of hard to argue against that. So I don't know. They're both pretty good. I'm not complaining.
Fair. Very fair. Eric Francis, I can't imagine how busy you are. I know that you want to get home, but we are hoping that the series continues maybe to 7 for other people that sprinkled on this call. Just saying, appreciate your time and enjoy the game tonight.
All right. See you, Dave. We'll talk soon.
Eric Francis inside the NHL, getting on more of the sports action you want. It's easy as playing at sportsselect.com. Simply make your picks online, generate your QR code, and lock in your bet at your local Lotto spot retailer. He wouldn't tell us who he sprinkled on, but Game 5 does go tonight. It's time for a break on the Sports Cage. Still to come, your clutch performer. We'll also, of course, talk some Roughrider football. Season kicks off finally on Saturday. I think everybody's ready for it, and if you've got a question, we'll answer it coming up. This is the Sports Cage. We're streaming at sportscage.com and on 620 CKRM.
The Sports Cage clutch performer for Glen Suitor. Thinking about saving money by using solar power? Glen Suitor is a local family company that can put solar panels on your home, business, or farm. GlenSuitor.com.
All right, clutch performer time. Brought to you by Glen Suitor. And boy, I don't know if you saw one of the biggest comebacks in NBA history last night. Who knew it was going to end that way? That's exactly what Taylor Swift is saying when she looks at it today. OJ Anunoby. Boy, I tell you, you look at the clock winding down. New York has already erased a 20-point lead. For some reason, some way, somehow, you take a 3-point shot from nearly half court. Anunoby goes running in, able to tip it home with just over a second to go. Clutch, giving New York the victory and a stranglehold on that series against San Antonio. Former Toronto Raptor, by the way. So OJ Anunoby, your clutch performer for Glen Suitor. You know they can help with your livestock opportunity, but now book your solar quotes for your home, farm, or cabin by simply going online. Save money with the local company, Glen Suitor. You'll find them in Lumsden. All right. I am so excited to finally talk football. Saskatchewan Roughriders president and CEO Craig Reynolds, kind enough to join us. Boy, you've got to be busy. I can't imagine how busy your team is before the home opener.
Busy week, yeah. The office is the flurry of activity, but it's an exciting week too.
I know I might get fined if I ask Coach Mace this again, so I'm not gonna go down that path, but I will ask you, celebrating the 2025 Grey Cup, it just seems like it was yesterday that the game ended. Has it been a quick off season for you?
Yeah, very quick. Actually, it's funny. We talked about this after we won. We sort of had an all-staff meeting, and we had the cup there, which was pretty awesome. And we talked about how the off season is going to be short because you're playing at the last game, then you got the celebration for those last for a few weeks, and then we went on the Grey Cup community tour, as you know. And so that took up a lot of time. So yeah, the offseason felt really short, and the season kind of crept up on us a little bit. And obviously we had the game in Saskatoon as well, which was a lot of work. So yeah, that extra bye, I know from a fan perspective, it probably wasn't ideal, but from an organizational perspective, it wasn't that bad for us to fine tune a few things before Saturday night.
What was your moments with the cup? Not just personal, but the opportunity to bring it around the province. Yeah,
special. Really, really special. Two things stand out. Taking it to Humboldt. That was something we committed to the Broncos and the people of Humboldt, that when we won, we were going to stop there first. And so that was really, really powerful. Spending time with Kevin Gehringer there, and just with the Bronco, being in that locker room with the cup with Sam and Mitch was pretty special. And then I got to take it to my hometown. I got to take it to Foam Lake, and so took it to the elementary school there. Lots of familiar faces there, and then took it to high school as well, and then sort of to some family friends. And so that was a pretty special moment. I did it with my son too, which was really cool for him to be able to do that.
So when the cup went around the province, the thing that I always get stopped for, and again, I don't know why people would stop me, it's amazing, but Dave, the cup came to our town. I can't believe they brought it to our town. And we could be talking seemingly about Weyburn or Estevan or Humboldt, or even to the points far north. Like, how amazing was it for that cup to travel around? And was it the celebration you anticipated? For sure it was. And yeah, I wish we had it for a year and we could take it everywhere. But we really wanted to get it to all four corners. That was our goal. We wanted to get it, up north and, up to, Meadow Lake and that area, and all four corners. And we really, when we plotted it out and we looked at where has it been and the list, and then you look at it on a Saskatchewan map, it really hit all four corners of the province. And so that was the goal. And we had so many players who commit their time to kind of go out there with it. And it was great just to get as many people to see that cup and share in that moment with us was pretty special. Were you surprised at all by anything about the celebration? I'm not going to kid you. I was shocked at the impact. Like, you understand it living in Saskatchewan all your life, but I still didn't understand it. Yeah, I think I was, because unfortunately it's been 12 years. So yeah. I was with the club then, but it's been a bit of time. And I remember, the first thing that shocked me was the parade. I thought there'd be a lot of people there, but I never in my wildest dreams expected that many people there. And at the ledge too, that was shocking. And then just the outpouring of support. And anywhere you walked with that cup, like, it never ceased to amaze me. Like, anytime I got to have it personally or with a group or whatever, you walk in any place with that cup and people just, they're just amazed by it, right? And it's a big moment for them and for us to share it with them. So those are the things that'll always stand out from the off season. As we turn the page to 2026, we have an opportunity to raise a banner. It hasn't happened a lot. I mentioned it a number of times this week. 2014, I was at that game when the flag went up at Old Mosaic Stadium, a moment that gives me chills just thinking about it. Like, how cool is it to be able to unveil that? Very, very cool. Kind of went through they walked me through the plans for the first time yesterday, actually. Oh. So it was one of those ones, you get goosebumps, right? When you think about the crowd response that's likely to happen. As you mentioned, only have done it 4 times, and so to do it a 5th time, obviously first time at the new stadium as well. So it's gonna be a special moment, and I think what the team's got planned for it is pretty neat. But just to be able to share that moment with our fans, because there's kind of 3 moments when you win. It's when you initially win, and we had a great fan support in Winnipeg when we won. The crowd, and they stayed forever, and they were really, really loud and boisterous and outstanding. But that was, not at home, right? Mm-hmm. We didn't win it at home. And then there's the ring ceremony. When you get the rings, that's another celebratory moment, but that's sort of private. And so this is the big public moment that we get to share this with all our fans. We shared it with a little bit, some of our fans, every community stop, but this is with Rider Nation with 30,000, so it's gonna be really cool. tickets still available? You can actually still get the watermelon pack too.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, and that's a great deal. Like you can get to Labor Day and Labor Day is moving fast. Holy cow! So if you're thinking about going to Labor Day, I would highly recommend picking up a watermelon pack and heading to both games because Saturday's gonna be special.
Riderville.com to get those tickets, but also the team unveiled. My phone blew up last night. Team unveiled some of the themes for the games this season, in addition to what jerseys are going to be worn. And I'm not here to let anything out of the bag, but boy, I tell you, there's some pretty interesting nights that are coming to Mosaic Stadium.
Yeah, there were two that got some people's attention, I think, because they maybe weren't expecting it. So, 60-year anniversary of the 66th championship, so first championship. So, Mark Habeck, who you know, our director of retail, does a fabulous job of thinking through these things. And so we've got sort of a tribute, a take on the retro jerseys. That's a bit of a tribute to that team. So we're excited about that. That's going to be at the Legends game. And then, as you know, the Argos game that's coming up here is actually an Argos home game. So we thought maybe we should wear white and maybe we should do a Prairie Blizzard style jersey. So more to come on that. But I'm pretty excited about that. Actually, yesterday was a big day. I saw the first cut of that too. I saw the first sort of live in person jersey with that. So that's going to be pretty neat.
Of course, there still will be Obsidian being worn this year. That was the next question on my phone. No, Obsidian's here. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, a couple times this year where Obsidian's going to be out there.
Game day experience is going to change. We're pleased to be joined by Riders President and CEO Craig Reynolds. And one of the things that I think is pretty cool when it comes to the families that are going to be coming down to the park is the Security Building Supplies Riderland Park. It's going to have a bit of a new look feel this year. Yes,
it will. Really excited about that. That park is always a great spot pre-game, but we've really focused in on making it family friendly and kid friendly. So tons of inflatables. We've got some new stuff coming for Saturday. There'll be new stuff introduced throughout the rest of the year, but really getting a family focusing on that. With the introduction of Coors Light tailgating, we've got an opportunity there to create that atmosphere, and so we really are focusing in Confed Park into Riderland Park, and so really excited about that, and welcoming all the families there on Saturday.
My friend Kevin, a neighbor who submits frequently plays for Mark Mueller to consider, which is very nice
excellent.
of him.
Yeah, he loves when I send him plays, so I'll get some from Kevin too.
Kevin, we were sitting around, and so we were trying to discuss what the tailgating area might look like. And so after a long discussion, he came up with hey, Dave, this is not like sample day at Safeway. And I was like, oh, okay, that's a little disappointing because Luke and I had kind of counted on that. But what can we expect in the tailgating area?
It's going to be really cool. So basically, there's 200 tailgating spots, and each of those spots have a spot for their car, and then they have a separate parking spot to set up their tailgate setup. Mm-hmm. So whether that's lawn chairs, picnic tables, barbecues, whatever the case may be, you've got the opportunity to tailgate. So that's the tailgate area, and then on top of that, the whole area is open to pedestrians. And so if Kevin's got a spot and you want to go see if he'll cook you up a hamburger, or buy you a beer, you just walk on in and head to Kevin's tailgate spot and enjoy the atmosphere with him. So really looking forward to how Rider Nation makes it their own, because we know they love to make it their own, and they're a very creative bunch. I've talked to a few fans already. They've been working on their trucks and their concepts that they're gonna debut on Saturday. So it's gonna be pretty neat to open up tailgating for the first time ever in Saskatchewan.
Again, there's a lot of cool things about tailgating, and I'm going to ask you your menu. Again, if anybody wants to take our menus into consideration, we've thrown out brisket, but just that's kind of the standard. Coach Mace said something very intriguing on Monday. We were talking about the tailgating area and having some fun, right? Talking about what we might do with the menu. And he goes, I'm really excited for one thing about this, because this is generational, because it's allowing a new fans to experience something that hasn't been done. And he just talked about how the kids and the family atmosphere are going to kind of carry into this and become something that we look back on as, oh, we were there when it started.
Yeah, no, this is the start of it all. Like I said, it's never been done before. And actually, Corey was a big pusher of this. So I remember him, after his first offseason, he said, why don't we tailgate here in Saskatchewan? I said, well, there's certain laws, and we started some conversations, but never really pursued it. And so, that was one of the things that let's get going on this, right? So, it is. It's history being made on Saturday, and hopefully becomes tradition that those tailgate spots get passed on from generation to generation, like season tickets do. So your son takes your tailgating spot and starts his new tradition. So yeah, let's hope that that's the start of a great new Rider tradition.
And so just so that I'm not leading anybody astray, you don't have to have tickets for the game. You don't have to have tickets for the tailgate area. You can come and enjoy the atmosphere and then go into the game afterwards.
Yeah, 100%. So you can do that. There's two different ways to do that. You can head right into the tailgate zone if you happen to know somebody, or you just want to experience that, or walk through and see if there is somebody you know. You can. That's all pedestrianized. And then there's the beer garden, the Coors Light beer garden that's really adjacent to the tailgate area. So you can go in there if you just want to grab a beer, or take in that atmosphere, and experience sort of the music and the vibe that's going on there. So so they're kind of two different spots where you can experience the atmosphere.
All right. Game day is on Saturday. The BC Lions come in. If I'm following Craig Reynolds around the tailgate area, what do you want to see on someone's menu?
Well, that's a good question. I'm kind of I like the smoker idea. I like, if somebody sort of started something at home, then they brought it there and they're finishing it there. I'm a big hamburger. I'm a pretty basic kind of guy. Foam-like kind of guy, so I like the hamburgers probably over hot dogs, but I don't mind the odd dog. Two Smokies too. I'm a big fan of Smokies. So, but I like the folks. Yeah, if they're spending some time on it, the smokers are a big thing now. So somebody who's smoking some meat probably would get my attention. Chicken wings, if they're smoking some chicken wings. Oh,
chicken wings, of course.
Yeah, that would be really cool too. So I'm going to be cruising around there. So hopefully somebody will have a spare wing. I can grab a spare wing.
All right, I've got a question here from Brian, and Brian says, I was at the game in Saskatoon, and I just wanted to give you kudos for bringing a game to Saskatoon. Can we do it again?
Yeah, loved that experience. It was so cool. Obviously, you were there, listened to a bit of your broadcast as well, and just the atmosphere it came through on the radio too. It was just outstanding. It was just an outstanding day. The weather was fabulous. The crowd was outstanding. So, yeah, the short answer, Brian, is we'd love to do it again. We really would. It was a success for sure. Saskatoon showed up and really showed out too. So, yeah, we'd love to do it again.
I couldn't believe the feels I got. I don't know, just, again, having been associated with the Huskies program and that facility for so long, I was like, this is nothing like what I thought.
Yeah, I felt the same way. Like I was there really early, as I think I ran into you there, and I could sense it right from the very get-go. Like this was going to be a special day, and it was all kinds of neat. Like even the players, like in the dorms, and they were literally walking from the dorms, and they were going to go play a professional football game. It was just really, really cool, and just the standing room only area, and the fans being everywhere and sort of enjoying the game however they wanted to enjoy it. It was just an outstanding atmosphere, and like the crowd was loud. At the end of the game when we had to make a play or had to have a drive to win the game, the crowd was there. And then on when Daniel scored that touchdown, that was outstanding. What a great moment for him. Probably the last professional game he'll ever play in that stadium. And then we needed to stop on defense. The crowd's loud, so it was all kinds of outstanding.
Okay, this is Sheila or Shyla, and I'm sorry, Sheila or Shyla, I don't know how to pronounce your name. The Riders are going to be in the 2027 Grey Cup. When can I get my tickets?
Well, yeah, I hope you're right, for sure. So, yeah, no, more information will come in the fall. So, pretty soon is the answer to that. Pretty soon.
All right, and it seems like the games are moving faster with the new rules. Have you felt that?
I have. I started, our first preseason game obviously was the first one, watching that on the stream, and I was like, man, the game is moving, the pace is moving, and there's more plays too. I looked today at the stats, and there was 8 more plays on average for the first three games. So you're getting actually more plays, and the game seems to be moving with pace, and that's exactly what the intent was to try to get the game moving a little quicker and more consistently too, because as we know with the 20-second play clock, it really depended on a number of factors. It wasn't consistent, and this one is really, there's consistency and a pace to it.
Reading this from Heather talking about getting to the football game, again, there's still going to be access and there's going to be transit options. Yep. That's the best way to get in. Same as always?
Same as always, yeah. Nothing's changed on Rider Transit. Same stop, same area. And the parking that we're using for tailgating was always season ticket member parking, so there's been no parking that's been disappeared or whatever. So if you used to park, on game day, you can follow what you used to do.
So access points, right? So we've got so many fans from Saskatoon and Melville and Yorkton, and again, the list goes on. So if you found a spot where you park and you hop on the bus, it's still available from the malls and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. There's 4 or 5 locations. They're all in the know before you go. So all fans who have tickets should have got that today.
Perfect. And of course, the question I'm sure you always get: can we have more Gainer?
More Gainer. I tell you. Did you see?
Really?
Did you see Gainer? I heard. I did not see this, but I heard Gainer did a cartwheel in Saskatoon. Yeah,
I didn't see it.
Yeah, no, that's confirmed. Somebody told me he did a cartwheel. So yeah, there's more Gainer, and Gainer spent the offseason learning some new tricks apparently, because he can do a cartwheel now. So that's exciting. So yeah, no, looking forward to more Gainer.
The 3 things, you won't believe it. The 3 things, the most common things I heard after the game in Saskatoon. Number 1 is that people could hear us right below.
Oh, cool.
They said, it sounds like you're on the radio. Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, that works out. The other one was that Gainer brought the bike back. I'm like, that was the biggest, that was your takeaway. All right. Perfect. And they just loved the opportunity just to walk down towards the field. They didn't think they'd get that chance. So I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah, all 3 were really cool. Yeah, just the proximity to the players and the field was really cool in Saskatoon.
All right, what are you feeling for 2026? Because I asked the players, they said, you know what? The day we walked in, we knew that this was a special group. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, I feel really confident with the group we got leading us, and that gives me comfort in my role. And specifically that's Jeremy and that's certainly Corey and the culture they've set, the sort of the standard they set, and then our veteran leadership. Starting with our quarterback Trevor, but on defense Jameer, and I don't want to single guys out, but we just have such Jamarcus. Like there's just a ton of great AJ, ton of great leaders on our team who sort of set that standard. So I'm excited. New season. It's that's what's exciting about Saturday is it's the one last sort of time we'll unveil that banner and then kick off for 2026, and then we kind of put 2025 in the rearview mirror, and it's all about 2026 and trying to put ourselves in a position to do some good things.
Again, if you want to get tickets, you can get that watermelon pack where you take care of Labor Day at the same time. Riderville.com is the easiest way to do it. Again, the tailgating, it looks like it's just going to be a ton of fun. The whole family can come down earlier. And again, get ready to celebrate with a great season.
Absolutely. And tailgate's 5 hours before game time. So if you really want to make a day of it, you can start going there at noon.
You know that we were kind of keeping that under wraps because we don't want Mullender there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Are you guys going to do some tailgating?
We are going to take a walk through.
Okay, good.
For sure.
Good. That's awesome.
We'll see. We've been told that there are some folks that we should definitely stop in and try.
For sure. Awesome.
The scary one is corn on the cob, though.
Yeah, I've never thought about it. Yeah, I never thought about that. Yeah, there's going to be some corn on the cob there for sure.
But it's tough to broadcast.
It is. Yeah, you got to be careful with your teeth there.
Yeah. But that's life.
Yeah. Hey.
It's going to be, again, I appreciate you coming in, sort of keep you waiting. Again, as always, appreciate the support. It's going to be a fun season, so thanks for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Dave, as always, and looking forward to listening to you, and good luck on the season for you as well. And
Thank you. Thank you. Craig Reynolds, the president and CEO of your Saskatchewan Roughriders. Saturday's the day. Get your tickets now at riderville.com. It's going to be a blast. You will not want to miss it because, again, it's something you can't remember or can't forget when a banner gets raised at Mosaic Stadium, and we're happy to do that on Saturday night against BC. We'll take a break and come back with more in a moment. This is the Sports Cage, streaming at sportscage.com and at 620 CKRM. Brandon says he's hyped for Saturday. It is going to be fun. And Brandon, you are right. It is the Sports Cage on a Thursday. Dave Thomas in for Barney Shankaruk. Again, President and CEO Craig Reynolds, if you missed any of the conversation, or Eric Francis in Carolina. Again, just go online to sportscage.com. All of our, of course, content is podcast form. It is there and ready for your taking. Sorry. I'm now thinking about food. That's terrible. Terrible. We are going to go back to the Riders here momentarily and enjoy a conversation that we had earlier with the top second down receiver, in the Canadian Football League in 2025. The numbers definitely back it up, but I don't think that there is the groundswell of support that perhaps we should have. As when this athlete got nicked up at the end of the year, it was one of those things where we understood the role and the dynamic that we were starting to miss a little bit, if you understand what I mean. But again, if there was a second down to be had in a passing game in the Canadian Football League in 2025, Keyshawn Johnson led the way and was the guy that could go ahead and get the job done. I caught up with him at the end of practice today as, of course, he and his teammates are getting set for Saturday against the BC Lions. Keyshawn Johnson, it's been great seeing you out running around, and you smiled when I said, man, you look fast. Why the smile?
I'm just feeling good, and I'm ready to get these games rolling. Haven't been on the field in a while, so I'm just ready to go.
I remember it was like heartbreak when watching from the booth that little screen pass that really seemed a simple play that nothing would come from. But boy, what an impact one play can have. How have you overcome that?
Just the work, the work in the off season, rehab, all our training staff helped me do, and just the work back at home, training staff there, just to help me get back, get back healthy and feel confident.
It was very evident how hard you were working to make yourself available for the playoff run last year. Was that a mental hurdle that you had to overcome, maybe in the disappointment and not being able to get on the field?
Yeah, definitely. That was definitely a mental battle that I had to deal with, and that was my first injury with football ever that sat me out of the game. So that was difficult, but I was pushing hard to get back out there with the guys, and I wasn't able to, so I had to just be a leader from the sideline.
Pro football, it's a business, they say, right? And obviously the business was done in the offseason when you came back and chose to be with the Saskatchewan Roughriders again. But does that play into your mind, the fact that, hey, the last piece of game film that I was able to put out was that screen pass?
I try not to look at that, Well, I feel like our team's film is my film at the same time. Whatever we do together, so we do it as one. So the last play we had was, running on the field and hosting the trophy. But going on now, ready to get further.
Tell me how you're going to continue to move your game forward in this league now coming into year 3.
Just put in the work week by week, day by day. Just keep honing in on the details. There's always more to learn. Lean on Trevor, lean on Sam, lean on Shafe, lean on the guys that's been here for a while, and just keep growing and developing those players.
How do you do it on second downs? Because you are so proficient when you look at your numbers. If you want to take the deep dive into the analytics, like, again, I'm a dummy and I'm thinking, well, Keyshawn's probably going to get this football. That would mean that the other team would know it, but you still come up with the catch. How does that work?
Just our O-line blocking and Trevor having the faith in me to give me a chance. And once that ball comes my way, I try to make it mine.
Tell me about the receiver room this year. It's a little different look than last year.
Well, if you think about it, last year we really didn't have our full starting core the whole year, like as one. So we're already a step ahead, having all our guys back, most of our guys back, and we're feeling good. All of us feeling good. We're ready to go.
Keyshawn Johnson, again, Mr. Second Down in the receiving corps for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Right after that conversation, the rain started pouring down, but he is ready for the BC Lions. They will, of course, square off Saturday night at Mosaic Stadium. Saying that, I missed Brenda's question, and I apologize regarding the flyover for this game, if there is going to be one, and I've seen social media teases, but I can't say one way or the other, Brenda, but I will find out for you, as, again, you can't see it if you're on the west side, and I think there is something when it has to do with flying over the middle of the field, but Brenda, I will find out for you. Also, don't forget the Grey Cup will be in attendance as well. It is the Purolator Tackle Hunger Game. Bring some non-perishable food for the Regina Food Bank, and, of course, get a photo with the Grey Cup. But speaking of fun, if you want to have some, it is time to go to Flowing Springs. We've got Brian Raymond on the line with us, and I mentioned the rain. We were happy about the rain today, as it wasn't in the form of hail, but I guess you may even be happier with the condition of your course right now.
Well, the rain is never a bad thing for the golf course, but we would sort of prefer that it happened like around 12 o'clock in the evening. It's midnight.
No doubt. But
it does cut into business, but you know what? It is good for the golf courses. All the golf courses will be a lot greener now.
Well, and again, that just means longer rough for me to lose my ball in at the end of the day. But that is why I'm thinking I need to head out to your driving range, because, again, you've got the feature that I can't think of anyone else that has, where you're not hitting off mats, you're hitting on grass.
Well, that's right, and you don't have to line up because it's a huge driving range. But, the advantage to the driving range, if you're trying to improve your game, is that you get that shot over again. When you're playing on the golf course, you don't get to repeat that shot because you have to go to wherever the ball ended up. So that's the real advantage to the driving range.
And you know what? I was on the website earlier today, and this is suggested of me after the way that my recreational choices during the bye week was that a driving range would do me a lot of good, as well as lessons. Do you have lessons?
Yes, we do offer lessons. We offer group lessons. We offer individual lessons. And you can certainly get all the information regarding lessons on our website, but you can also just call the golf course and we can certainly set something up. That's an important point. A lot of people, sometimes, just at the start of the season, just to get a few tips, just to maybe fine-tune that swing a little bit to get you that couple of extra strokes.
One of the ones that was pointed out to me that I never thought was that you should be on the balls of your feet more than you are when you hit the ball, and I never even had thought of that, and maybe that's the wrong lesson I'm putting out there right now.
Well, I mean, that's only one aspect of, footwork is only one aspect of the whole golf swing. We find that a lot of people have a problem with the basic thing would be the grip. I mean, if you don't hold the club properly, you're going to have a problem somehow at some point in time in your development. So, yeah, there's a lot of things to look at in the golf swing for sure. Unfortunately,
last week I lost grip on my club a couple of times. But, hey.
You might need new grips.
Or, yeah, we'll leave it at that. You do have some great driving range specials, and other specials around the golf course, Brian.
Well, that's right. Right now, if you come out and use the driving range, if you buy a large basket of balls anytime, we'll give you a certificate to come back any day this month after 5 o'clock. We'll get a large basket for half price. That's 100 golf balls. And one of our famous Harvest hot dogs. They're 7 inches. They're nice hot dogs. They're great tasting hot dogs. And you get that for $1. So that's a great certificate. If you come out and play, we give you a $25 gift certificate towards any of our Skechers shoes that we carry in the clubhouse as well.
Brian, the first time that I ever played Flowing Springs was actually on a Rider game day. We were driving into the city for the game, and it was pretty quick pace. We got done 18 before the game. So if we want to look at doing that, can we start booking tee times for Saturday now or further on in the season?
We are taking bookings right now. We book 7 days in advance, by the way, and that is we do get people who come into town for the football games, and they do bring their golf clubs, and we'll get you out as early as we can in the morning. And yes, most of the time you can get through the golf course in 4 hours and 15 minutes.
And we can also book those tee times online, right?
Absolutely. Go to our website, flowingspringsgolf.com, and you can book online, and you can give us a call at 306-543-5050 to book your tee time.
Great deals on now, and again, a great-looking course thanks to the rain. Brian, I appreciate this again, and we'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Go Riders.
Brian Raymond joining us, Flowing Springs, of course. Check them out online. Give them a call today, and get on the driving range, Dave. I'm sorry, that's just my rhetorical response to what people are thinking right now. We're going to take one more break. Come back with your sports ticker in just a moment. This is the Sports Cage, streaming at sportscage.com and on 620 CKRM.
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Extreme Hockey and Sport is the home of the price match guarantee. 1425 McIntyre Street, the Cooperator Center, Moose Jaw Temple Garden Center, and online at extremehockey.net.
Thanks to Chris for the text. He's got a tee time at Flowing Springs and I'm invited. Luke and I are going to be tied up at the tailgate on Saturday. I'm sorry, that's kind of the way it's going to go. All right, Sports Cage Ticker. Here we go, brought to you by Extreme Hockey. Of course, big hockey game tonight, Game 5 of the NHL Stanley Cup Final. The Golden Knights taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. Series is tied at 2-2. Week 2 of the Canadian Football League kicks off as well tonight. Hamilton is in Winnipeg to take on the Blue Bombers. And in the Western Canadian Baseball League, the Regina Red Sox playing the Saskatchewan Berries. The Weyburn Beavers are in Moose Jaw to take on the Miller Express. 7:05 first pitch there. If you were following the World Cup today, you would know that Mexico has won their first match, a 2-0 full-time decision over South Africa, despite Mexico losing a man. So, big win there for the Mexicans to open it up. Canada plays Bosnia-Herzegovina tomorrow in Toronto. Toronto Blue Jays are off, by the way, tonight, before somebody asks. Also should mention NASCAR getting set to go this weekend. The full NASCAR report coming up with Sharky tomorrow. We were going to have Dan Croft on this afternoon, but quite frankly, Crofty, you're bragging of how much you are beating me in the NASCAR pool probably would not be as effective as we would want it to be. So the NASCAR report is tomorrow for Croft Electric. Almost 29 years of trusted, reliable home, farm, and commercial service for all electrical needs. CroftElectric.com and all socials. There you go. We'll take another break, get to news in just a moment, and then on the other side, Glen Suitor is going to join us to get set for Week 2 in the Canadian Football League. This is the Sports Cage.
Week 3. It's Week 3 in the Canadian Football League, isn't it? No, it's Week 2. Yeah, sorry, you're right. I'm gaslighting you a little bit because I had to do the mental gymnastics that it's actually week 2, even though it's the home opener with the Roughriders.
Understood.
I'm sorry, Dave.
No, that's
I apologize.
okay. That was a tire fire, kind of like the Oilers. Suits is coming up after the news. This is the Sports Cage at sportscage.com and on 620 CKRM. All right, final hour of the program underway. Dave Thomason for Barney Shankarook. Haven't broke anything yet, but I'm trying hard. That's all I'm saying. Lots to go, including a conversation with Roland Milligan Jr. before we get to 6 o'clock. Tell you how he's going to stop Nathan Rourke, or at least try. We've got the details on that coming up, plus your sprinkle of the day, and more is on the way. Taking a look at the Canadian Football League. Week 2 kicks off tonight. Hamilton is in Winnipeg. We are going to talk Week 2, and of course, we're going to talk more food, too, when it comes to tailgating. We've got Glen Suitor on the line. Time for press coverage.
Time now for press coverage with CFL and Saskatchewan Roughrider legend Glen Suitor on the Sports Cage. Brought to you by Freeze Tome and Lumber. Locally owned, family grown, rooted in our community for 70 years in Regina and Fort Capel.
Glen Suitor joining us on a Thursday, as I know that you want to get to your television and kick off week 2 as soon as we possibly can, can't you?
Well, Dave, it's okay. I'm taping it. You know, I'm taping it. So, well, not taping. What do they call it? TiVoing it or whatever it is.
I totally get it, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm taping it as well tonight. It should be a dandy between Hamilton and Winnipeg. Before we get any further, though, I do have to ask you the question that is being bantied around. Will you be in Regina in time to take in the tailgate at Mosaic Stadium?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'll be in Regina tomorrow, getting ready. Like I'd like to rent a truck and a cooler and a barbecue and go join them. That would be ideal. But no, I'm definitely going to walk through and take a look around. I know as a crew we'll probably shoot some of it to show it in the pregame and those kind of things, and maybe a little bit during the game too, because it's brand new and it's a new idea and new decision by the organization to allow tailgating, conventional tailgating. So it's a big story, and be on top of it. And I mean, if you have an extra rib or piece of steak or something back there.
So is that what's going to be on the menu if we want to entice Glen Suitor to stop at our tailgate spot? It should be ribs or steak, or is there something else?
Well, I'd love to say a cold beer, but or beverage, but I can't do that before the game. So
it would be colorful.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons I don't and would never gamble on games that I'm doing, or really even the sport that I'm covering. But the games that I'm doing for sure would definitely, if you had $20 even on a team and they were struggling and the quarterback throws an interception or something, how angry would you start to get? I mean, imagine calling a game where your guy's letting you down that you picked to be over 300 yards passing or whatever, and he's just not seeing it, and you're going like, oh, this guy sucks. It could really change.
Funny story is that fantasy football used to get me on that one, and people would be texting me like, ha, and I was like, oh, I can't really focus on this right now. Like, I'm not cheering for anybody, just so you know. But
yes, exactly. We got to stay neutral, and we got to call the game and sometimes call it like we see it. If he did stink, then he stunk.
Yeah.
but that's why there'll be no gambling and no beverages beforehand. But the odd rib or so some of the great tailgating barbecue stuff is as good as it gets when it comes to barbecue food.
Well, let's quench our appetite when it comes to week 2 in the CFL. We'll talk Saskatchewan, BC in just a little bit, but it does kick off tonight. Hamilton taking on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Hamilton maybe arguably could have had a better, or maybe was more deserving of a better outcome. I would suggest perhaps in week number 1, Winnipeg, they played to the final buzzer, right? They fade to the final whistle and they found a win in Calgary. Your take on that game tonight?
Yeah. When I look at this Hamilton Winnipeg team, I see two quarterbacks that are are so far beating the heck out of Father Time, which is a battle that not anybody really wins in the end. But so far, they're still in the third quarter, and they've got a lead in Bo Levi Mitchell and Zach Collaros. I agree with you in the Calgary-Winnipeg game in week 1 that with the 104-yard drive by VA, I really thought, this is a home team in Calgary that's probably been the better team tonight and didn't get the result. And had they killed some time, as we talked about on Tuesday, maybe they do get the result, but they gave Zach just enough time, and he hit a 20-yard chunk play to get in field goal range. So that's what you expect out of a veteran. But these two guys are top of their game. One's 37, the other's 36, I believe. That's their ages. So, but when you see how Trevor Harris is playing and how he was in training camp, and at 40 years old, you say, why not? You know what? These guys are still in great shape. They take care of themselves, and they're playing as good a football as they've played in their entire careers.
Toronto, Montreal, they go tomorrow night. Does anybody really know what the Toronto Argonauts are?
Yeah, not really. It's an interesting one because I think there's a couple of big question marks when it comes to the Argos that people are struggling with. One is head coach Mike Miller, and I don't think that people understand that he has such a great resume, first of all. I mean, this is a guy that was an offensive coordinator in Arizona. I mean, he was in the NFL for years and has a great relationship with the quarterback position and with Chad Kelly. I'll get to Chad Kelly in a second, but with Mike Miller, you also have the quarterback coach with the Argos that when he had McLeod Bethel Thompson, he led the league that year in passing yards. When he had Arbuckle was the MVP of the Grey Cup that year. And when he had the 1 year with a healthy Chad Kelly was the MOP. Mm-hmm. So he has a great relationship with Chad. I think that's the second question, though, when you look at the Argos. What is Chad Kelly going to look like, and what form will he have when he's missed so much football? Now, when Pinball Clements and I were together up at the Dog's Breakfast in Saskatoon, I asked Pinball about Chad and, just his rehab, recovery, his injury, and all of that. And he said he was basically ready to go at the end of last year. But the way it was rolling out, they just thought, you were going to stick with Arbuckle and let's see, and let's not rush or push it. But he was ready. He was healthy and he was cleared at the end of last year. So he has had a whole offseason of normal training. This hasn't been rehab training, but he still missed a ton of football. So what does that mean when he gets back out there, when the defensive line is in his face and all of that? So I think those are the two questions and why people aren't really sure where to put the Argos. If those questions are answered the way I think they will be, which is Chad will be fine, and Mike Miller and his relationship with Chad Kelly is going to be excellent, and he's a quarterback guy, they're going to be just fine. He's got a great resume too, so we'll see. But that's why I think the questions are.
Glen Suitor, press coverage, Fries Tallman. This is where Dave should have done his homework. Very, very early in the career of Davis Alexander in Montreal, you were one of the very first people I recall being extremely impressed and believing in his ability to lead the Montreal Alouettes. And I can't remember if it was on TSN or if it was here on the SportsCage, but you were talking about you were very impressed by Davis Alexander. And like I said, very early on, what did you see that convinced you that he would have the success that he has had thus far?
Yeah, sometimes it's, to me, all the quarterbacks that play at this level, have the arm talent. They wouldn't get to training camp without the arm talent. And most of them have had success at some point in their careers, in college or wherever it may be, sometimes in the other league. And when you get to training camp, there's often tons of hype behind the guy that spent some time at Alabama and won a national championship, and then he played for the Rams for 3 years or whatever. And people get pretty excited about that resume. And I've always said, let me see him play on our field with our rules and make the throws like you're seeing on the feed right now. Make the throws like that with the field width. A 15-yard out in the CFL is a hard throw. It has to be on time. It has to be right there. It has to be. So, I always hesitate to make a judgment based just on resume alone. And I want to see the player on the field, on our field with our rules. And when I saw Davis, I thought he has all those measurables for sure. Big arm strength, good ability to run. But here's why I said the same thing about Nathan Rourke. I remember saying the same thing about Ricky Ray. Different players, different styles of play, but I could see it early, which was they have this great game management ability, like game understanding where, and one of the great players right now with it is Trevor Harris, who has this awareness that this is the moment, this is the drive we need, and also the understanding that I'm not going to push this throw on 2nd and 15 because an interception here hurts our team more than us punting the ball. And, sometimes that's a tough decision to make, but the smart one to make. And I don't mean surrendering or giving up. I just mean making good decisions all the time. And, as more than not. And I think that's what I noticed about Davis right away. His decisions to run and when to run, his decisions when I'm not going to force it, and our punt team and defense will come out and carry the day for a second, then we'll get another chance. Those kind of decisions is where I said to myself, this guy's a real player. And then what you see more than anything with Davis Alexander is just his raw leadership, his enthusiasm. I mean, there's a few players that you watch play and you go, man, I wish I was a teammate of his, because it looks like it would be a ton of fun to play with Davis Alexander. He's just full of energy. It's great to watch.
I was reading an article and a game preview, and it shocked me when it came to Davis Alexander and I can't remember who wrote it, but they mentioned that Davis Alexander hasn't really had to go through any adversity in his CFL career. And I'm like, he battled an injury all last year. Like, I don't know how much more adversity that you want. Do you agree? Do you understand where that comment might come from?
No, I don't. I think he has faced adversity. He's had to earn his way to the starting lineup. That was not given to him by any stretch of the imagination. And Jason Moss was watching his development and practice, and as the number 2, and then finally gave him the opportunity when they made the move with Cody. And so, I think that's adversity that you have to overcome. You have to be patient and keep grinding. Your injury you mentioned, I mean, he was on one leg in the Grey Cup, let's be honest. And I'm not taking anything away from the Rider win, believe me. That's a good defense, a good team that can be, but he was playing through a lot of pain. And so, I think he has faced adversity. Now, I get it from the win-loss category, but it's such a team game. There's so much involved. I mean, you just talked about it off the top. I mean, how close were they to losing week 1 this year? Like they went to overtime and just made the right play at the right time. But again, that's what's special about Davis Alexander. He understands the spotlight and the moment that you need to make that play.
BC and Saskatchewan kick it off here in Mosaic Stadium. You will be here in attendance. We will meet in the tailgate area looking for ribs and steak, in case you missed that, just throwing that out there. But let's maybe talk about the BC Lions suits and the defense. I want to start with, everybody's talking about Nathan Rourke, and of course that is well deserved. But the defense for the Lions, I think, despite the fact that it looks like they're going to be without Gary Peters in this game, is a very formidable bunch.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, a lot of experts are picking the Lions to win the division, and I think the reason for that is because of Nathan Rourke and their offense. I mean, they've got Keon Hatcher back, they've got Justin McInnis back, James Butler's back in the backfield. This is an offense with the MOP, the reigning MOP at quarterback, and I think that's why people are saying this guy can score with anybody. But I think if you're making predictions, and by the way, I just had a Zoom call with Jameer Thurman because we're preparing for the game and got to talk to both teams today. And Jameer has heard all the experts as well. he was, before I even asked the question, he was like, oh, by the way, I'm hearing all the experts talk about the BC Lions and other teams, and not many of them are saying that the Riders are poised to repeat as champions. So he's made a mental note at least on that, and will be playing with a bit of a chip, which guys, they always try to find a way to do that. So I'm not surprised. But back to the BC Lions, their offense is why I think people are rating them so high, and they should. They're going to be great on offense. But I think if you're going to rate teams going into a season, let's start with their defense. Who's got the best defense in the West? I think Edmonton's improved. I still like Saskatchewan's. I know there's been some concern when it comes to their pass rush and their D-line, but I think they can be as good as any there. Maybe the best D-line in the division is going to be Calgary, when Jalen Hutchings is back and Clarence Hicks and how well he played in week 1 and last year, at the end of last year. So he looks good. I mean, the Bombers with Serezna, 3 sacks out of the gate in his first game, and they still got Willie. And so, I mean, I'm not sure how you'd rank them. I think depending on the person you talk to, rank the defenses. And then if you rank the defenses, that'll give you a better indication as to maybe who will win the division, rather than looking at who can score the most points. I know we love points. And fans love to see offense and touchdowns, and I get it, but more times than not, the 2 teams playing in the Grey Cup have the best defenses in the league.
Glen Suitor, when you were playing, you went up against some of the most mobile quarterbacks in CFL history. And when a team is preparing and a defense is preparing, you're looking at tendencies, you're looking at all kinds of different things. How do you prepare as an individual player and as a defense for the unknown? Because that unknown can be coming when Nathan Rourke is trying to extend a play with his legs or do something special like that. How do you counteract that?
Yeah, I remember the West Final when Nathan Rourke scrambled up the middle and then pitched it underhand to James Butler for a key first down. It's about discipline, really. I mean, it comes down to your lane responsibility, your gap responsibility. And so if you're playing a 4-man front, which the Riders generally do, you have a certain gap responsibility that you have to be in. So the moment that you get pushed out of that gap, or you decide to run by it on your own because you think you can make a play around the edge, that's usually when that gap is exposed and the opposition can make a big play. So there's how good is Curtis just getting that done and getting that exact play right on the feed right away. So that's really what it is about, Dave, is the gap cancellation, and then having a guy like Jameer just scraping to the football and making those plays. I'm hearing a lot of great things about Josh Woods and what he's been doing and how he has fit in with the group. And I'm really interested to see him play. I mean, these 2 teams finished the season well, the Riders didn't, but this was the Lions' last game, and he was on the other team at that time. So, I look at this defense and I think the key to stopping Nathan Rourke is discipline. But if you don't send a little extra pressure every now and then, especially in second down, and he stands back there and slings it, it'll also be a long night. So it's a challenge without question. and Corey Mace is great at keeping his D-line fresh, so that we'll see a rotation, I'm sure, and that's going to be important. Gap cancellation on the run, and just hustle the ball. At the end of the day, that's what defense is. Just go to your spot, make sure you're in responsibility, and then when the ball's in the air, go get it.
Well, when Roland Milligan Jr. joins us in just a few moments,
yeah,
I kind of talked to him about that. But as a defensive back, is this like a nightmare kind of scenario when you've got a quarterback that can extend plays that long?
Yeah, it is, especially with Nathan, because when he scrambles, it's not a 7-yard, 8-yard scramble. It can be a 60-yard scramble. He's got great speed when he runs, and we've seen it many times. So it does make it challenging, and the challenging part for a DB is when the quarterback takes off or breaks contain, he gets outside. And now you have to make a quick decision as to whether or not you're going to go and help him and help get him down on the ground and tackled, or are you going to stay back in your coverage? And you have to wait and try to guess, depending on where you are on the field. You have to guess, is he across the line of scrimmage or not across the line of scrimmage yet? That's the key decision. When do I take off and run? So again, that's preparation, knowing exactly where the line of scrimmage is, knowing exactly, there he goes on a big run against the Bombers. So, it is a challenge, but the number one rule for DBs is stay with your man, stay in your coverage, stay in your responsibility, and rally late to a scrambling quarterback. And you hope that the front seven gets there first and gets them on the ground, but if not, you can make a tackle 12, 14 yards and reset and get ready for another down. It's sort of like, don't let him score, but don't react too quickly to him running as well, because that'll just open up guys like Hatcher in behind everybody.
I know I'm probably keeping you long, Glen Suitor, but I have two quick questions I want to ask.
Yeah.
Number one, what is piquing your curiosity when it comes to this game between the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the BC Lions? I hate asking the question, what questions need to be answered, but what have got you curious that you're interested to watch and see this weekend?
Well, I want to see, first of all, where the pressure is going to come from for Saskatchewan. And in some cases, I really am interested to see how Darnell Sankey fits into and maybe really helps the BC defense. I mean, there's a lot of fans are going to love watching Sam Emelis and Schaefer Baker and Trevor Harris, and the same can be said about the receiving core and Nathan Rourke on the other side. And yeah, that's a no-brainer. It's going to be fun to watch those guys go to work. But as far as just sort of game inside the game, how does Darnell Sankey fit in the BC defense, and how much will it improve? Because if we were ranking those defenses in the West, I don't think there'd be many, and I'm not sure where I'd put them, but I don't know that there'd be many that would put the BC Lions anywhere above really last place defensively. I mean, they've got some great players. Matthew Betts is still on that team. He led the league in sacks. So, it may be unfair, but I'm not sure based on the last West final that the Lions defense would be ranked very high by many. So how does Darnell Sankey change that? How does he help lead that team? Nothing. I just did a Zoom with their coach, Buck Pearson, and he had nothing but great things to say about his work ethic and things like that. So that's a real intriguing storyline. And the pressure from the front four for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Where's that going to come from? Do they have to go to blitz? Can they do it with 4 men like they did a lot last year? It'll be interesting.
Number 98, Desmond Evans. Sorry, just throwing that up there. He's been good at camp.
Buddy, Dave, Coach Mace he basically, without being asked, I mean, I did ask him about players that were new to the team that he was very impressed with. I don't like asking the who surprised you, because you're in camp. If the players are in camp, they shouldn't be a surprise that they're good. So that's where your scouting team comes in. But I wanted to say, like, was there a guy that you went, oh man, this guy is above and beyond what we expected, kind of thing? And he mentioned that. So, yeah, we'll be watching.
Press coverage brought to you by Freeze Tallman, more than a lumber yard, locally owned, family grown, rooted in our community for 70 years in Regina and Fort Qu'Appelle, and delivery is available. And I'm just talking about a partnership that we've got with Freeze Tallman. And obviously, when you're talking partnerships, Freeze Tallman is trusting us to deliver the message that they should be trusted in what they do and what they do best. The Canadian Football League Suits announced today some trusted partnerships that they are renewing year over year, and that caught your attention. How come?
Yeah, and by the way, Freeze Tallman, great guys over there too, man. Like,
yeah.
Just go hang out for a while, even if you're thinking about a deck or whatever. Just go and hang out, and they will help you. Like they answered about 15 of my questions about my own deck in no time at all. Yeah, it did catch my eye because of the timing of it. The announcement from the league that there was over 50 corporate sponsors, and that was a week after Amar Doman, the owner with the BC Lions, was on social media, and I'll paraphrase here. I don't want to mess up a quote, but he said something along the lines that there's been a narrative out there for some time that only 2 of the 9 teams in the league make money, and he said that's false. That's not true. So he said you shouldn't believe the narrative that only 2 of the 9 teams make money. He said that last week, something to that extent. And then this week, the league announced over 50 corporate sponsors and more that are really interested. I've talked to the commissioner before who has said, that when it comes to expansion in Quebec or wherever it may be, that he's getting the calls, not out trying to sell it to people, that we should expand, that he's getting calls from people that are very interested in trying to figure this out. All of those things are great indicators that the league is headed in the right direction. I've always suspected that some of the privately owned teams, I'm not saying they're lying by any stretch of the imagination, but they don't have to show us their bottom line, because they're private businesses. So, we'll never really know, and how much they're using them as write-offs on other things and all of that. So I just found it very interesting that Amar Doman says, don't believe that narrative, and that he loves the trajectory of his team and the entire league. And then the very next week, we talk about 50 corporate sponsors or more that are involved with Canadian football.
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know how Freeze Tallman makes any money because their prices are so low.
Nice. No, and like I said, the experts, man, that's what you want. You want guys when you do these projects, you do them once and you get it right. And that's what these guys will do for you.
TSN Glen Suitor, we're so proud that you're our expert. Can't wait to catch up at the weekend at Mosaic Stadium. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, Dave. Sounds good.
Press coverage with Glen Suitor on the Sports Cage. We need to take another break. Of course, the Sports Cage on a Thursday for Access Communications, trusted in rural Saskatchewan for internet, TV, and home security. Coming up, we'll get to your sprinkle of the day. That's on the way, plus a conversation with Roland Milligan Jr. before 6. It's the Sports Cage. We're streaming at sportscage.com and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Steelcraft Doors Regina, made in Western Canada for Western Canadians.
All right, here we go. Sports Cage Ticker, of course, getting set for Game 5, the Stanley Cup Final. Vegas in Carolina to take on the Hurricanes. That series is tied at 2 wins apiece. In the Canadian Football League, Week 2, Hamilton is in Winnipeg. Winnipeg got a win last week. Hamilton did not. We'll see which way that will go. That's I can't remember, 32nd straight sellout in Winnipeg, so good on the Bombers for selling that thing out. It should be a dandy game tonight at Princess Auto Stadium. And then the Western Canadian Baseball League, hopefully they escape the rain as the Regina Red Sox are up in Saskatoon to take on the Berries. Moose Jaw is home to the Weyburn Beavers tonight. Both games start at 7:05. And if you're following the World Cup of Soccer today, Mexico gets it started off with a win. The Mexicans defeat South Africa 2-0, despite losing a man to a red card early in the second half. Canada will, of course, start tomorrow as they take on Bosnia-Herzegovina. No Toronto Blue Jays baseball tonight. The Jays have a day off. They're back on the field tomorrow. At least the bullpen gets a day off today, which doesn't happen all the time when the team is playing. Sorry to say, just throwing that out there. And that is your Sports Cage ticker brought to you by Steelcraft Doors. Let's go ahead and make a sprinkle or two, shall we? Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, sorry. I missed rehearsal earlier today, so I just wanted to make sure. Sprinkle of the Day, of course, is brought to you by Sports Select and our friends. Play responsibly, have some fun at the same time. You can get in on more of the sports action you want. It's as easy as playing at sportselect.com. Simply make your picks online, generate your QR code, and lock in your bet at your local lotto spot retailer. Every bet 100% legal with the chance of winning cash in hand. Sports Select, when you're ready to play, bet on the original. Must be 18 plus to play. Please play responsibly. Hockey. Vegas and Carolina. Carolina, the favorites to win. The tie is at 355. Over under 5.5.
It's close. It's a close one. I mean, the series itself has kind of been like a bit of a shootout.
If I was, again, and I may go to sportselect.com right now, but I'm really shocked that the over-under is 5.5. I think the teams are going to tighten up defensively. But then again, I did think that after game number 3. So maybe I'm wrong. But again, Carolina favored to win at home. You go with that. If you want to put a prop together. See, points, you got Mark Stone, who as soon as Mark Stone got that point in the last game, I thought of you immediately, Curtis, because you were all over him.
He got a goal but he didn't get an assist, which that was the double I was saying. It's like, if he gets a point and an assist, you would hit on both of those props. He only got a goal. So if you did the double, like I said yesterday, you only would have hit once.
Yes, true.
But I did take a look at that, and I was like, man, close.
Sports Select really likes Sebastian Aho. I have never been a fan, and I don't know why. Like, he's a great hockey player, but Eichel and Aho, you can go on that one. Then Marner, why would you ever go against him? Logan Stankoven, who's been terrific. And then you got Seth Jarvis and Shea Theodore for an assist. So a goal from Marner or Stankoven, Theodore and Jarvis on the assist for the props.
I'm feeling pitting prop goal Mitch Marner. I'm feeling it.
Pays $320.
I think that might be my sprinkle.
Yeah?
Yes. What's calling your heart there, Dave?
Shea Theodore to get an assist, because Vegas is masterful at going ahead and moving the puck up in transition from their defense. He might be the guy.
And then last but not least on the props, we have Taylor Hall for shots.
That one's so hard. And again, I give full credit to anybody that's able to capitalize on that. It is so hard. Can you scroll down? FIFA World Cup, Canada, Bosnia, Herzegovina tomorrow. Can we find that? I don't know if we can.
Be tough.
Right now, tonight, Hamilton, Winnipeg, by the way. Winnipeg is favored in that ball game at home. I don't see that. The over-under is 51.5, so expecting an offensive shootout. But FIFA World Cup tomorrow, Canada, Bosnia. I'm very curious. Again, Canadians are going to be favored in that one, especially playing at home. But I'll be curious. That's almost kind of like a must-win if you're the Canadians. It's interesting that it wasn't... How do I word this? It's interesting that it wasn't the Italians, because the Italians could have had that spot, and there's many in Toronto that would be very excited about that. But... just saying. Czechia and Korea are, of course, playing in the World Cup. Was that 8 o'clock tonight?
Yes.
Czechia favored to defeat the Koreans, and the over-under is
2.5. See, I don't know much about soccer.
Always go the under on soccer. That's all I'll tell you.
Okay.
Always go the under.
Take that to the bank, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. Sprinkle of the day for Sports Select. Get in on more of the sports action you want. It's as easy as playing at sportselect.com. Simply make your picks online, generate your QR code, and lock in your bet at your local lotto spot retailer. Every bet is 100% legal with a chance of winning cash in hand. Sports Select, when you're ready to play, bet on the original. Must be 18 plus to play. Please play responsibly. Can I go back to what we started the show with for just a second, as I see a couple of texts have come up with when we were ranking fires, just because we called what was happening in Edmonton a tire fire. And again, the whole trying to hire one coach and then being denied permission, then trying to hire another coach. And actually, when they tried to hire the first coach, it was interesting because they still did have a head coach because they hadn't fired Chris Knobloch yet. So now they're going after Babcock, and Babcock's being investigated by the NHL for more than perhaps just, as Eric Francis told us. If you missed that, go to our website and go on the podcast. But for perhaps more than just looking at players' phones. I'm just, again, Darnell Nurse wants out now. Is it a tire fire?
Most people don't like to stick around tire fires or dumpster fires.
No.
Dumpster fire is a little less smoldering, as we discussed earlier, but it doesn't smell great either.
And at sportscage.com as well, should point out the fact that the steam is starting to build. See, I didn't say the smoke. I could have gone there, stayed with the whole idea, but I got off track. 64% of folks don't believe the Oilers should hire Mike Babcock.
What do they know? Armchair GMs out there, huh?
I just get the feeling that the Oilers, if they can hire Mike Babcock, they will. They have gone to the point of offering or asking their star players if they'll play for him. And they've said, sure. So it's pretty hard to tell Connor McDavid, sorry, we're not going to go with him now. Just kidding.
And of course, we let the clowns run the circus just about anywhere. Shout out to Roscoe. He actually pointed out a mistake of mine. I'm a clown that runs a circus.
Instead of the monkeys?
Yes.
The monkeys can run the circus. Don't have anything against the monkeys.
Monkeys running a circus sounds more fun than clowns running a circus, in my opinion.
Potato, potato.
Potato, potato, Dave. Potato, potato.
Roland Milligan Jr. Do we want to go to Roland now, or do we want to take a break and go to Roland?
We can roll Roland.
Okay. Let's talk about Roland Milligan Jr. Of course, he and his teammates getting set to host the BC Lions. A lot of things going on, including the Pure Later Tackle for Hunger campaign, bring some non-perishable items, and then get a picture with the Grey Cup. It will be there at Mosaic Stadium on Saturday. But Roland Milligan Jr., he's been in this league a while. He knows what it's going to take to beat the BC Lions. They've got some potent receivers. They've got a heck of a quarterback that everybody talks about. And Roland Milligan Jr. talked to me about all of that. Getting off to a good start in a season is always key, but I know you're looking no further than anything but 1-0. Tell me how you are focused and ready for this game on Saturday.
Just knowing the opponent that's coming into the building. We've had battles over the past few years, so we know that they're going to come with it until the end of the game. So we just got to be ready to match it, to bring the energy in there. They're going to counter back. They're a good team, so we just got to be able to match the counter.
You've had to wait 3 weeks between game action. They talk sometimes about, I'm in game shape. Are you in game shape, and is that anything to worry about?
I don't think you're ever in game shape until you start playing games. It's hard to mimic an actual football game, so until you really start playing those games, I feel like it takes a couple weeks into the season just to really get to that point.
One of the things that I've often heard talked about when you're doing film study is it's an ability to train your eyes, and then you go on the field and to execute that in believing in your eyes. How hard is it when you've got maybe the unknown quantity that is a guy that can scramble and extend plays with his feet that's quarterbacking the BC Lions?
It's something you just kind of got to tell yourself. It's like, he's a great guy. He gets out of a lot of stuff in the pocket, and we've seen it in numerous games we've had against him. By now we should expect it, you know what I'm saying? So it shouldn't really be a surprise for us, so we already prepared for it to an extent.
You've got some new faces in that linebacking core. You've talked about it with me before, saying that, hey, we're just coming together as a group with chemistry. How do you feel that's gone?
It's been good. Like I said, Josh, he's involved with everything that we got going on in the boundary. And even with Therm, just giving different perspectives and ideas and things like that. It's been big for us.
And how about Antoine Brooks? Again, he had some playing time last year and seemed to capitalize every opportunity he had.
I'm excited for him to see, a full season of work. I'm excited to see how he does with it.
There you go. Antoine Brooks Jr. probably going to get the start in the linebacking core along with Josh Woods and Jameer Thurman. The way that the Riders practiced, not today as we didn't see it because they were behind closed doors, but yesterday Nelson Lacombe was at safety with Roland Milligan Jr. at one half, DeMarcus Fields. Deontay Williams, who I was thinking for the BC Lions, of course, had that spot before DeMarcus. Deontay suffering from an ankle injury, but should be available to go. But again, I digress. On the corners, of course, you'll have Tavon Campbell and Marcus Sales. So that's the way that the defense is setting up for the Saskatchewan Roughriders as they take on the BC Lions, 5 o'clock at Mosaic Stadium. Of course, the Rider Broadcast Network. We are going to have the call for you starting at 2 o'clock with the countdown to kickoff, and who knows, maybe Luke or I will be in the tailgate area.
I think Luke's going to riot if he's not. He might not even come up to the booth if you don't hit at least one tailgate, which we've been invited to a couple. We've been told to head on over to the Croft Electric one. We're also going to be having a tailgate. And then when Greg was here, he said, stop by the Piffles one as well. So
they're going to have like, what's the word I'm looking for here? They're going to have like a very diverse selection of food. Am I like being too picky thinking there shouldn't be, that I shouldn't partake in ribs like everybody else can? Just the sticky fingers?
Why sticky fingers?
Like, I'll wash my hands, but...
What do you use your fingers for on game day?
On ribs? Oh, no, on game day.
Why can't you have sticky fingers on game day?
I don't know. That's just a Dave thing, maybe.
You could lick your fingers if you want up in the booth. It's up there and no one's watching.
Well, everyone is watching because, of course, you can catch the live stream of games at sportscage.com, right?
Oh, yes.
So whether we're at home or we're on the road, you get the live view of the booth. We're going to be on the field at halftime. Tegan and Wes Cates will be down there.
I'll be watching to see if you're licking your fingers.
Now you will be, right?
Yeah. But ribs are really good. Ribs smoked are actually like fantastic. My brother and my dad went halvesies on a smoker the other summer, and smoked ribs, so good. If someone's smoking ribs out there, I'm not going to say no. Doesn't matter. Sticky fingers or not.
Fall off the bone, fall on the shirt is the adage that I live by when it comes to ribs.
You got to pressure cook them so you get them nice and soft, and then you smoke them. Smoke them for a couple hours.
And away you go.
Mm-hmm.
Recipe tips with Curtis. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, I do some cooking occasionally, every once in a while. I was having the conversation with Tegan the other day, actually. I had like a roast in the freezer that I was kind of debating on, but the problem about living alone is a guy doesn't want to make an entire roast for himself. So,
no, you do that.
Yeah, I might have to have like some kind of dinner party or something, but I don't have a smoker. I wish I could do a smoked anything.
One thing I wish that I have done, maybe this is a bucket list item. It's not as high as some of the other things like going to Alcatraz, which we talked about earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like at some point to like buy a cow, right? When I was when we had the farm, when I was a kid, right? We'd always get fresh meat from the farm, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've never ever gone and bought like a side of beef. You know what I mean?
That's what my parents and grandparents do, except they don't actually like buy the cow. I learned the other day they do it for trade. There's like my grandparents know a family that owns a butchery, and they end up usually giving my grandparents a cow for like a handful of favors. So
really,
yeah, my grandpa was a master electrician for a long time, and he wired up their kitchen and their barn and stuff like that. And it's like, all right, you get a cow for it. And then half of it would go to my parents, half of it would go to my grandparents in the deep freezer. So lots of meats, but highly recommend, Dave. Highly recommend having a lot of those in the freezer.
I just don't know where to start. Like, do you go like stand by the side of the field, hope to talk to the farmer? Or
that's up to you.
That's where the conversation has to begin.
You can get as creative as you want. You can put a feeler out on the radio if you really wanted to. You have that option, like flea market style.
Yeah, geez, I don't know. They didn't take live animals or me. I don't know. Anyways, we got to stop. I'm getting hungry. We'll take a final break, come back, do the sports ticker, and then we'll get out of here.
We already did the sports ticker.
Did we do the sports ticker?
We did.
Well, then, so are we just about done?
Just about,
Okay.
but we should take a break.
One more break. We'll tell you what's coming up on the Rider Broadcast Network this weekend, including some cool features that you're going to find out on the broadcast. That's on the way. This is the Sports Cage. I'm getting hungry for beef, and we're getting text messages now on the text line at 306-936.
People offering their meat today.
62.
Take a break here.
Yeah. This is the Sports Cage at sportscage.com and on 620 CKRM. Dave Thomas in for Barney Shankrick one final time on the Sports Cage on this Thursday. Barney is back tomorrow with Sharky. They'll get you lined up and set up for the Riders and BC Lions. Of course, Jeff Stusik is going to be behind the face mask with Barney this weekend. You'll find that and more coming up tomorrow afternoon. Indeed, if you missed anything, though, today, check out the podcast, of course, brought to you by Freeze Tallman. They've got you covered, and you can find it at sportscage.com. Thanks for sitting tight and keeping us company this afternoon. We will talk again on the weekend. This is the Sports Cage again. Thanks for streaming us at 620 CKRM.